Hey, welcome back to Matchball Grid. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is January 20th, 2022. Hopefully you're doing well. It's a Thursday night. That's how it goes. We got a stream tonight. Boy, do we have a stream tonight. Yo, Phil, what up? Chiribogas, speed runs. Yeah, largely. We're actually so today we're gonna be playing Chiriboga, which if you don't know what it was or what it is something that kind of, I don't know, was sprung on me last week on stream, and it's really cool. So we're gonna take some time to play it and see if we can beat it, and then we're gonna beat it. And by beat it, I mean we're gonna write our own AI and try and beat it ourselves in a very non-scientific but also extremely scientific way at the same time. Like, we're not gonna interface with the program, but we're gonna notepad.exe. It's gonna be fun. I'm actually really excited. I have no idea what I'm doing. Yo, Parallel, how's it going? Hey, Netrunner friends. Elwin, good evening. Baza, how you doing? Happy Thursday. Solmir, all good. Night for some Netrunner and Ochin. Hey, yo, how's it going, everyone? Thanks so much for joining. How's your week's been? It's been a busy week. January's almost over, which is pretty wild. Feeling rough. Got my booster yesterday. Oh, dang. Hopefully you're feeling better. Generally, the booster, I'm not a doctor, isn't supposed to be as big of a reaction as some of the previous ones, maybe, because I think it's a smaller dose. That's, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm getting mine on Monday. I've heard from other friends, though, that they haven't felt great. Hopefully you're feeling better, man. Hey, Jazz, how's it going? I built a deck inspired by Chiriboga? What do you mean? How? It's the worst reaction I've had of the three. Ah, that's a bummer. Hopefully you have the time to take to yourself, huh? Solmir also got my booster today. The needle actually hurt going in this time. Oh, they botched it. They gave you one of them thick needles. Like, let's see this guy going. Hit him up with a pencil. I'm sorry, actually. I don't think I'm able to look when they do it, I'll be honest. So I'm not going to talk a big game. Game of Droid. Spent the weekend helping my partner play Mario 64. It was super fun. Which one are you doing? Are you doing an emulator? Are you playing the real thing? Or do you play the Switch $90 remaster? I have beat Mario 64, and then we picked it up because we were some of those chumps that bought the $90 old Mario games thing that Nintendo put out last year. And I played Super Mario 64 for a long time, for the first time in a long time on the remaster, and I forgot how clunky it is. Because that's the problem, is I have access to YouTube, so I watch a lot of speedrunners playing Mario 64, and it looks really easy and really fun. And then you play it, and you're like, oh, the first 3D camera, okay. Spent an embarrassing amount of time in Chiriboga last week. Yo, I'm going to need your help because I don't fully understand the interface, and it's a bit different. So we're going to struggle. Baza says, my booster shot was nothing, felt fine. Some of my friends had a rough ride, though. It really depends. Hey, good on you for feeling well. Also glad to hear everyone's getting boosted. If that's a thing you can do, that's really important. Yo, and Primo, how's it going? Welcome, Seirin Primo. How you doing? We got the thing on the Switch that lets you play all the old stuff. Oh, so you're playing like the emulator stuff on the Switch. That's probably fine. No one's complained about the Switch emulator. Nintendo's been doing a good job there, I reckon. The first decent 3D camera, it gets worse. I see what you mean. Ixaron, how's it going? Welcome. I'm expecting a question from you. I don't know. That's usually how it goes, isn't it? Okay, so off the top, a couple things. We have some housekeeping. Firstly, the deck list of the week is a throwback deck. There was a throwback tournament just this last weekend. And if you don't know what throwback is, it's basically a format where you play a standard legal deck, but you're allowed either a single card or a full playset of a rotated card. And so this deck specifically played, let me see if we can find it. Sacrificial Construct as its rotated card. This is something that came from an original core set back in the day. And it says you can prevent this at instant speed. You trash it to prevent a program or install a piece of hardware from being trashed, which is really good with cards like Tapeworm, which basically say, sorry, you can't see Tapeworm. Hold on, let me hit some buttons. I'm just going to open this deck list. But what I'm trying to say is we're not going to play this deck because we're not going to play Throwback tonight. Another thing that's worth noting is if you look at the front page of Netrunner DB, it's like 7 to 8 different formats on the front page, which is pretty cool. Macaroni, hey, pretend I'm raiding from you, Sengrin. Yo, thank you, Sengrin, from the raid. Macaroni, glad you could join us. I almost took this tap lock list to throwback. It probably would have done better than Haley. Jaws, what did you splash in Haley? Are you on Pawn Shop? Or sorry, Workshop? I take it. I was debating asking a question. I couldn't think of anything to get there. Oh, that's all right. Yo, Pouch, how's it going? Just got here. How's everyone doing? I think everyone's doing okay. Some people have had their booster shots. For me, it's Monday, and they're not feeling that good. So hopefully we can all wish them better. Speaking about better, I guess that's a segue. So what's happening today? We're gonna be playing some Chiriboga, and we're gonna be making our own AI to try and beat Chiriboga. I'm convinced we can do it to some extent. It's a small card pool. It's not gonna be very scientific, but we'll get there. But one thing I want to shout out first, before anything, is that we're gonna have another stream this weekend on Sunday. It's gonna start at 11 a.m. So 11 in the morning. That's Eastern time zone right now. So for us right now, it's 9 in the evening. So maybe that helps you do some maths really quickly. But you might have actually seen, because Ellie's been reaching out to a lot of people. If you've been playing Netrunner for a while, you might have known somebody who went by the name of Elad Amir. Specifically, if you maybe you read some StimHack articles back in the day or on Board Game Geek. And Ellie has been reaching out to a lot of people. You probably saw if you subscribe to other like Netrunner content creators, has been reaching out to talk about a game that they've been working on that is going to be coming out on Kickstarter. It's going to get kickstarted just in a couple months on March 1st. So I actually had the time. Ellie reached out. I didn't realize for a while, and I reached out with him and we talked about the game. And you can play this. It's on Tabletop Simulator on Tabletopia, so you can try out the whole game. There's some placeholder art and stuff like that. But we're going to be playing it. Pat and I are going to be playing it on stream on Sunday. It's not sponsored content by any means. Ellie will be joining us, but this game actually looks really, really, really cool. And I haven't played it yet, and I'm excited to play it. I've learned the rules. I've looked through all the cards. But it's meant to be, I guess the blurb here, you can see, a 13th century history is altered by the rise of world breakers. It's basically a card game that takes place in an alternate 13th century history, something I know very little about. So that's like Genghis Khan era, if I'm not mistaken. I think one of the factions that we'll be playing is entirely a Mongol army. But it's like a card game that's like heavily inspired by Netrunner, more so than it might be obvious, which is really interesting. So this is going to be on Sunday. Pat and I are going to be playing this. Ellie's going to be joining us. I'm actually really excited. The game looks really cool. If you want to try the game out, you want to get involved, it's all on, just Google World Breakers. It'll be the first result that comes up, but I'm actually really excited for this. So I'm hoping it's good fun. You can try it out now. Sounds awesome. Heard of it on the Ascengrins, Record Recon. Looking forward. Yeah, he did Ellie did a record, sorry, what's it called? Reconstruction contract? No, that's not even right. Something like that. Record Reconstructor, excuse me. Talking about some of the old decks he used to play. But the game looks like genuinely really good, and I'm excited to play it. Cool. So that's Sunday. So we'll be streaming on Sunday. Hey, Floofy. I want to ask something about HQ management tools. There really aren't too many that are good or / playable. There are none. There's really none. Well, okay, no, that's not true. If you want to talk about HQ management tools, like obviously you have cards like Spin Doctor and Sprint. Those are some of the most common ones. Classically, I think the only HQ, like direct HQ management card that saw play, if I'm not mistaken, is Attitude Adjustment. Barring the other things that do similar things to Spin Doctor, things like the one that lets you recur 3 cards from archives, but it doesn't let you trash cards, so it's not exactly it. So HQ management actually has been pretty niche. We've seen like really weird cards like, is it Alexa Belsky? None of these saw play. It just doesn't make sense. It's not a very good card. It gets rid of your hand, and that's generally a bad thing. You kind of want a hand, so no, that's largely it. Oh, Distract the Masses was the other one. Excuse me. What's the name I'm thinking of? The one that just says Shuffle 3 Terminal. Because Distract the Masses is like not the worst. It does the thing that the other one does, but it gives the runner money, which for some prison decks it really didn't matter. Preemptive Action, yeah, thank you. Not that I haven't said that name like 300 times in my life. Oh, Business Show. Yeah, actually Business Show is huge. Preemptive Action, it's fine. Daily Business Show is the best HQ management tool, and it's not exactly like a direct HQ management tool. It's basically a filtered draw card. So it's not like you can have cards in your HQ and you can manage it, but Daily Business Show is like low-key one of the strongest cards on the table if left unchecked for a long time. It basically ensures like one of the main ways that runners win games is that corpse draw agendas and they can't do anything with them, and then you can steal the agendas either because they're forced to push into the remote or you run HQ. And Daily Business Show stops people from doing that. It just makes the draws perfect, or unless you draw 2 agendas and you didn't want that. But on top of that, it generally allows the decks that have these sort of cards in it continue to do the thing they want to do. Which if they're an asset-based deck, it'd be like, okay, do you want to draw an agenda or another sick asset that the runner's going to have to deal with? I'll do that. Or do you want to draw this or card draw? I'll do that. Do you need ice right now? No. How about this card? You can do that. How about your hard-hitting news you need? How about your tag punishment you're looking for? Daily Business Show is like straight ridiculous. It's a sort of card that maybe some newer players might see this and think like, oh, it's fine. It's not doing really anything. It's not drawing cards, but like, let me tell you, this thing's so important. And also understanding that the cards go to the bottom of the deck and you can kind of track where those are, because if they just bottom a bunch of agendas and don't shuffle their deck, at some point they're going to be only drawing agendas. Sanjay, how's it going? I do love all the flavors. It's certainly not Jackson Howard. Oh, pick your flavor. My favorite right now is Spin Doctor, who I call Jackson Howard on a regular. Are we talking about prison decks on a regular basis and how great they are? And Arco, we're trying to make friends here. Disposable HQ. Yo, Philip, was good but terrible. Disposable HQ is a good card. And Disposable HQ is a card that I'm glad people don't play. Because it is honestly a pretty nuts card. I've seen this card. I think it's like just a not very fun card and a not very fair card. I've seen this card just get hit. It's 1 or 2 influence splash into a prison deck, and the runner runs this early. Haha! Now my 6 points of my agendas are underneath my deck, and I'm never gonna shuffle, and I'm never gonna like end the game. It just yuck. It's just yuck. I don't like this. The ability to just hide agendas indefinitely. Anytime that you put a card on the bottom of your deck, don't like it. Really don't like it. I don't like prison matchups. Sorry. What is the other one? There's another one. In terms of like managing your agendas, there are a couple more cards like that. I think we see some suggestions in chat. Wampoa, that's the one I'm thinking of. Wampoa Reclamation is banned. It's the same sort of thing. Oh, you wanted to win by getting agendas? All my agendas on the bottom of the deck. Sucks to suck. And Drudge Work, same sort of idea, a bit more fair. It shuffles the deck. Shuffle the deck is good. Wampoa ended up being pretty good HQ management, though that was not the intention, I don't think. Stoppable, yeah, not exactly. But a lot of times these sort of cards, like it's very important to know, like cards like Drudge Work, cards like Wampoa, cards like Disposable HQ aren't showing up in fair decks. Like people are not using this as like on tempo HQ management tools because they're not very on tempo. So the only place they generally show up is like extreme acid based decks, and a lot of those decks have no game plan to score agendas in the early to mid game, if at all. Some decks, so they're generally just, I'm gonna say, abused in those decks, but used to their fullest extent to just prolong the game and make sure agendas aren't an issue for either players. So a lot of those don't show up, which is why like cards like Spin Doctor are admittedly ubiquitous, and that might be a problem for some, but like very good because they allow you to play better Netrunner. They allow you to feel like you have more agency over your card draw, but also they're on tempo. Like Spin Doctor is fantastic. Even if you don't res it, the runner runs it and then you res it. Like you've got value from this. It's just so good. Dredge Work is great. Dredge Work is fine. I don't know. You really don't see Dredge Work outside of like Gagarin decks or anything that's trying to win in a different way. DBS bottoms cards, that's also bad. Nah, DBS is good. DBS is cool. DBS makes you make more decisions. I like that. Lady liberated your vanity project. Jeeves click Dredge Work Yagoti. I don't even know what half of that means. Lady liberated your vanity project. Jeeves click Dredge Work. I think someone mentioned Shannon Clare, and Shannon Clare is the one from the bottom of your deck, right? Stuff like this too, like Shannon Clare did show up in like some disgusting combo decks, and even in formats that aren't standard, like Ocarina tournament format. But this sort of ability, again, just these sort of abilities very rarely show up in like, I'm not gonna say honest decks, but obviously that sentence doesn't mean much. They generally show up because they are just like a busted combo piece in a busted combo, as opposed to being like, oh, this is a good card I can put in like 40% of the decks that play Netrunner. It's the life of the modern Gagarin. Attitude Adjustment will absolutely never see play while Spin Doctor is a card. Raketha, I don't entirely think I wouldn't say never, but I think you're right that it's generally the fourth. Spin, it does something slightly different. Like a lot of these decks that might have 3-pointers, might have punitive, might not want to score their agendas early. Honestly, Attitude Adjustment isn't the worst. Also, things like Sprint in some lists is better than Spin Doctor. I'm a believer of that. Lady Liberty. Attitude Adjustment goes in any John Cena themed deck. Yeah, if you can't find him. They're goddamn invisible. I also probably, the name has to do something with John Cena. Wrestling is not really a thing I know much about. Excuse me. Showing off meta activate. Yeah, that was like the frustrating thing. And you know, people always talk about showing off as like a fun thing. It's gonna rotate out the meta. Like, oh, if they do the business show for a year, showing off, you win. You're gonna look so smart. I've never seen it happen. I've literally never seen it happen. Maybe it was so easy and no one was brave enough to do it. But I think that was the thing to me that would be the most, I guess, okay, is that when cards like this existed, like cards with Wampoa Reclamation, if these cards were like super common, I think the most important thing for me would be more ways for the runner to shuffle the corpse deck. And there just was, in some points of time, there was like almost no way for the runner to actively shuffle the corporation's deck, which would have been a very powerful ability for a really long time. Like to deal with daily business shows, Wampoas, all this stuff. It just never existed. There's just not a lot of ways to do it. Like obviously Keyhole was a thing. Analog Dreamers is like the only other way. And then there's like weird stuff like By Any Means shuffles cards into decks. But maybe I would be less, not By Any Means, excuse me. What's the other one? Because I can. Maybe I'd be less critical of this if there's more ways to shuffle. Stargate doesn't shuffle the deck. Yeah, Keyhole. Keyhole is a thing. But Keyhole is obviously absurdly powerful on its own. Not enough potato salad cards to make it work. I feel like, I don't know. Okay. Where would you like the deck list? I'm not sure, Elwin. Which deck list? Anywho, Netrunner DB today, we're going to look at it a bit, but where we're going to start is if you haven't seen Chiriboga. Now, actually, I guess we should look this up because somebody commented about it, and by somebody, I mean the person who made Chiriboga. Interestingly enough, too, if you look on like the Chiriboga kind of like credits page, they even thank a bunch of people for like helping testing, including names you might recognize, which is really cool. So let's go down to, hold on. I remember being hyped that Hushig was a playable shuffle card. No more Analog Dreamers. Yeah. I guess Hushig shuffles, right? Simply say, what's that behind you, and reach over and shuffle their deck while they look. Yo, that is... Yo, watch out. The judges, they see you. Oh, for the Chiriboga inspired one. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. If you can post it on Twitch, there's a chance you're only going to be able to post the number, and I'll have to look it up from there. Hey, morning, Che. How's it going? Okay, so you can find this link. It's Chiriboga, just like the card, which is, I think, a Peruvian thing. .sif.nt.net.au. So I'm assuming that's an Australian domain. And the person who made it responded. It's Bob, right? Bob responded. Talking about the AI doing some silly stuff. Yeah, it's not very intelligent. When this sort of thing happens, it'd be great if you could download the log file and explain it. And if I'm not mistaken, Bob specifically says they haven't played a lot of Netrunner. I didn't know this conversation was going on. I think they said that like they weren't... Excuse me. Netrunner has a lot of cards on table. Having an AI on Jinteki.net rather than a separate site does make a lot of sense because people were asking like, why? How do we get this on JNet? I didn't realize. Where's the quote? Unfortunately, the AI is hard coded rather than any cool neural network, so it'll only get better through more code. I haven't played much Netrunner myself, so it's hard for me to intuit what moves are good, which is so wild that the person who put this together hasn't played a lot of Netrunner. If you haven't seen this, it's basically a way for you to play single player Netrunner online. I don't know what the deck building options are. But we can play the runner tutorial deck, which is the system gateway 30 card, 34 card runner and corp deck. Or you can play the advanced deck, which is again, the system gateway pre-made. We're looking at 40, 44 card decks. So it's a limited card pool, but it has an AI, and we got mixed responses last week, whether the AI was doing some silly stuff, whether it was actually pretty good. So we're going to play a couple games and test it and see if we can win. Maybe that'd be nice. And then after that, I think we want to spend some time and try and see if we can make our own AI. Admittedly, we're not going to be able to interface with this, but I want to see if we can make like just a text document that if we follow in real time, we can beat the Chiriboga AI, which sounds like probably we don't have enough time in the evening to do it, but I want to see where we can get to. And it's an interesting conversation that I'm not qualified to happen. So we'll get it. It's overly cautious about Urtica. Oh, dang. Bob hard-coded Urtica into it. That's sick. And Urtica is, I think, the only advanceable card they have to worry about. I have the lists open. So if you're playing this, the only card that they can advance that isn't agenda is Urtica. So if your AI runs while having less than 4 cards, while you're running an install double advanced cards, oh, that's a problem. So we'll figure it out. But it's also a DGAF about ice, so it'll face check so aggressively. I appreciate that. Deck building is also gateway. Oh, cool. Chiriboga is so amazing, it's hard to believe it's real. It's really good. Mostly decent, but sometimes fails and does some really bad things. Okay, so I wonder if we can play enough that we can start to understand like why the AI does silly things and in what circumstance. But I think we're going to start here as the corp tutorial deck, I guess. And then we'll do the runner tutorial deck. And then we're going to try and build the runner AI. So we'll see. A couple things it does as corp that are weird. Doesn't jam agendas when flooded with a safe remote. Reses to protect nothing, all the way down to 0 credits. Okay. I wish I had a hat mode that put the Chiriboga hat and more cards. The Chiriboga hat. Post number. I'm a noob about this. Do you mean the tournament hash from Jinteki? Yeah, so when you go on JNet. Oh, it's on JNet. Oh, you can try and copy pasting it if it's on JNet. But I think first probably what do you mean when it's inspired by Chiriboga? That's the thing that's interesting to me. But on JNet, you just have to copy paste it. Sorry, I thought it was on Netrunner DB. On Netrunner DB, you can just like every deck has like an enumerated thing here, and with that you can find a deck. This is really cool. How long has it been playable? Jody, I have no idea. We were just told about this like the other day. I have no idea how long this has been live for, but it is pretty sick. This is our opening hand. So this interface looks definitely very different than JNet. And this interface plays kind of what I describe a bit more to virtual reality. Like you physically have to move things, and I'm kind of into it. April's coming up. Oh, the hat. Okay, I'm going to mulligan this hand because it has no economy, and we have superconducting hub in our hand. Fantastic. It is worth knowing that we're only playing to 6 agenda points. Oh, this is so much better. Except, okay. The games are going to be a bit faster, maybe a bit volatile. We do have real 3-pointers in the deck. So our opening hand, again, we still have 3 clicks, 5 credits, 6 cards out of hand. I think it's red because we're over hand size. So I think our game plan here is just to set up. I think we want brown on the remote server. I'm not too worried if they steal the superconducting hub, so we could consider leaving HQ open. It's definitely worth noting that these identities have no text on them, so it's not like we're going to get... I guess the worst case is we get jailbreaked on HQ. But I think we want to push this and see if to play it physically, which is kind of a treat. And then I think our remote, like we could go down to 3 cards, which is Regolith, Super, which is kind of bad. I think there's a chance that we, because I want to get the Brawn down and the Regolith down, but I think we just white space R&D and then click for a credit. I just have no idea how aggressive they're going to be. The next turn we strap the Brand down, strap the Regolith, and hit it once, which isn't amazing. Ideally, we'd want to hit this 3 times so we could like pre-install both of them. But if they face check into it, we have to spend 6 on it, and then we can't hedge fund. So I think we're just gonna white space. That's how that works, and you can expose your own card. And I'm just gonna click for a credit, I guess. I have no idea how aggressive they value singles. It's New Year's holiday, so I can finally watch again. Oh, hey, Happy New Year's. Hey, okay, so that was the nightmare situation. It's also worth knowing they have a log here behind my head, but you cannot see the log because, oh, you can. So everything went so fast. They jailbreaked HQ. They stole, what did they access? Does it not tell us? It doesn't tell us. 6, 8, 6, 7, 9, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Hold on. Okay, so they stole the agenda. I don't think they hit the Regolith, and they have a lot of money. So now it's back to us. We have Palisade on the remote, which honestly is probably better to jam the Regolith behind because it doesn't cost us a whole lifetime. So we're going to play that there. We'll put the Regolith in it. There's no undo button on this bad boy, is there? Click. Oh, animation. And then we'll take the money. And then we'll see what happens. It says in the log what they saw and stole. Does it? Okay, red team, this is aggressive. They're smashing into this. This will actually work. How do I choose to res it? So red team, it's going to connect. They're going to lose 3 credits and end the run. Now they're running the remote server. They have 5 credits. I'm going to res it. I want to have that. They should definitely be running HQ with the red team. This is going very fast. I'm not used to this. It's very hard to talk at the same time. Hold on. Maybe I can go here. Let me catch up. Elwin, yes, that's the number. I'm going to just paste it in here for now, and then we'll get back to that. I just Googled that number. It frequently puts Palisades on Centrals, which is pretty bad. That happened in our like a bit of game that we played is they Palisaded a Central. Okay, this is perfect for here. And we're just going to hit the money button. And then we're going to score whatever we can behind Brown Palisade. It feels so aggro just because of how fast it is. Yes, it really does. Make 3 credits off archives. That's fine. Draw and creative last click. They figured it out. In general, it's way stronger as a runner, I think. I mean, Andre, it's not in any kind of trouble, but as runner, it gets lucky rips and the AI runs pretty aggressively. That definitely helps. Corp the weird strategic choices really hamstring it. Okay, I'm going to draw. Hey, Chris, I've been teaching my coworkers to play using System Gateway, and I'm continually impressed with how good of an intro to the game it is. Chiriboga or System Gateway? Because I agree to System Gateway, and so far I'm very impressed by Chiriboga. Okay, so we have to draw to our hand. We have an off-world office, so we want to jam it. They have only 12 credits, 4 cards in hand. They haven't been drawing heavily, but I don't think the AI is going to be like, if we don't have a barrier breaker, I will draw aggressively into it, or I'd be surprised. So I'm going to put that here. The white space is not particularly safe. Oh, no trash cards, thank you. And then I'm not going to play the hedge fund or the government subsidy because I want to keep as many cards in hand so that they do go HQ, they're more likely to keep the off-world. So next turn we can Regolith, install advance. Cat, how's beating up the AI going? This is our first game. I'm hoping we're going to beat them up. Otherwise, oh, what? They're face tanking the white space. That is aggressive. Gateway is a 10 out of 10 learn to play experience. Finally got some real cards. Gateway plus update. Gateway is really quite good. Oh, they did it. They had everything they needed. Holy okay, so they basically tanked the white space, so they lost 3 credits, gained 3 credits. So it was basically a free access for them. They accessed a tithe, they strapped down their cleaver. Now, if they don't run first click on this remote server, which I have no idea how often they're going to do this remote server is actually massively expensive because this is 2 credits to boost the strength. So just to get up to strength here, it's 6, 7, 8, 9 credits, and then this is 11, 12, 13. Tobo, I like how the cards on taps. With just the actual animation. I think it's quite fun. I think we're going to try and push it because, again, I have no idea what they do and don't respect. But they could definitely get in here if they needed to. Advance. Okay. They will click through on sell and brand very aggressively too. Okay, now they're running, but they only have 1 click left, so we'll gladly res this. It's a Brawn. And they're breaking it. They're breaking all of it. Wait, they had enough money? No, please stop. Please, you can't take these. What happened? How did they have enough money? Okay, we have a CVS receipt. Corb spent 6 credits. Please stop moving. Corb spent 6 credits. Res Brawn. Cleaver spent 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. Oh, this is 1 for 2 subroutines. What decks does Chiriboga run Worlds? I think they run a startup deck. Or at least the gateway deck. Is this an AI? It is. It is an AI, yeah. This is not an opponent. This is the computer. They had... Please give us a Managarm. Oh my god. We are better than they are. Okay, so I think we're gonna... Their economy is a bit ruined, so we can strap that in there and we can afford to government subsidy here because I don't think we care about the sanctity of cards in hand. It's like classic IRL Netrunner where you had to call MTG angle shooters. Creative Commission, not last click. All right. So that turn for them was very important. They're in 7 credits. They have the telework, so they creative for 1 and 2, install telework, and they use... Wait, that's a 9? Okay, wait, there's a usability issue here. Is that a 6 or a 9? What is that? Because it flips with the card, but the line's at the top. Don't you always put the line at the bottom? Why put a line? I'm assuming that has to be a 6 considering but the line's on the bottom of this. This is a 9. Yeah, that's a 9, but then it's upside down when the card flips. So the card's upside down, but the counters don't. It's like in real life. If you had the counters... No, actually, that doesn't make sense either. Okay, so it makes sense because it drew, doubled for the creative, and then... Yeah, okay. Gil, I think it's a 9, because this is what a 6 looks like, right? Yeah, that's a bug. Okay, so we're going to try and find an agenda so we can win a game. No, nice try. Nice try. So at this point, I don't want to jam the Regolith because I think we're going to jam anything we draw. I think there's only 1 red team in the whole deck. So at this point, I think we can just go ahead and put like, I don't know if we put a Karuna on here. I feel like if they respect Urticas, the Karuna on the remote might be fine. A Tithe on Centrals is good enough. No more cards. Thank you. If you had a counter for exactly 9 credits, then it'd show upside down, I guess. Yeah, I know, but we're rotating the whole card. They did it again. They VR'd for 2 clicks. They got the DECKLISTS. They got the HQ pressure. They have 7 credits. A second bronze seems affordable. Get us an agenda. Okay. The best agenda in the game is here. And honestly, I think we hedge fund. There's no way they get into this remote server. It's way too difficult. Okay. They're running it. And they're just clicking through. I think we're going to get hosed again. No, they have 4 credits and no clicks. Okay, hold on. We have to res this. Did we miss the window? No, it says run unsuccessful, run end. I don't know if it waited for us to have a window to res Managarm in response. But whatever. We got him, and we're not going to discard cards. We are going to have to score a super conducting hub, so in theory, we are losing. Draw 2 cards. Fantastic. We have to discard a card. I feel like we're not going to need 300 Nico camp. Actually, we should just install the Nico campaigns naked. I don't see why we wouldn't. I don't need that. How good is Gateway Plus update on its own? Already have old core with Spin, CC Genesis, but I'd like to have a smaller collection for casual table friends. Steinheim, how's it going? Welcome. Gateway and update, Gateway and system update are really, really quite good. If you want a tabletop, if you want just like a small collection to make it like a, what's it called? Like a board game sort of thing, definitely Gateway. Gateway on its own is good enough if you ask me. If you want additional cards for every faction, that's fantastic. System update 2021 is great. And you might want to just pick up, I don't know if you want to pick up Ashes instead, but the Ashes cycle is also really fantastic for that. But you generally can't go wrong. Like you already have a really good fundamental. I think Gateway and update's fantastic. Yeah, I played it multiple times before adding Ashes and moving to startup. Yeah, I think that's really quite good. We'll hit them with the white space. It takes their money. If you had a counter for exactly, excuse me. I have all the startup in a single binder, which makes it pretty easy. Yeah, it's pretty easy to store. A single Mayfly scares me because I have very little understanding of how they're going to use it. I think we can draw once here. If we get an agenda, so be it. We have an Urtica, and then we're just going to install 2 naked Nikos. Because I wonder what this user interface does when you acid spam them. I'm also interested to know what the user interface does when you when it allows you to res things or not. So it's a Nico campaign. They're going to trash it. It's a second Nico campaign. They cannot afford to trash it. They have 2 clicks left. They're taking money. And so can I res this now? Oh, good. It pauses for beginning turn. Sick. And they have a Carmen, which lines up against our Tithe pretty well. But now they're on 1 credit, so that seems like a scoring window. So we can advance this once. Our money's not fantastic, so we could do advance hedge fund. We could also like put another Brawn in front of it, which would cost us 8 credits hedge fund. The other order, I guess. I think that's good. I'm really worried about this remote. Now, this server is going to get weak soon. The Mayfly lets do this for not a lot, honestly. We might have to worry about this a bit more. The Karuna would be perfect on this remote server, and there's still a fair few agendas in the deck. I think this is pretty safe. Like if they click through this, they don't have 2 clicks or 5 credits for Managarm, and if they credit up, they probably don't have the money for Managarm. So I think we're maybe being a bit scared, but they ripped through that server way faster than I thought they would. Tithe is honestly worth keeping on the remote server, on the R&D. Naked Nico sounds like that was designed for lore. Yeah, that is actually it. They keep doing it. They VR-cation for 1 and 2. The robot. Okay, so we're going to score this out. We, in theory, could slow roll it. Like, they've committed to a smartware distributor, and we don't have anything else to jam. Like, we might be fine just to do advance, and put the Brawn on the remote server. So we're good to go next turn. Yeah, I'm feeling okay about that. DTS? No, this is Chiriboga. This is a fan-made AI project that allows you to play against an AI. It's really cool. Nico's a sex bot? No, Solomir Nico is well, the lore is a bit more interesting, but Nico was designed as like an androgynous, from my understanding, an androgynous biroid to be sold to high bidders for sex type stuff. Yeah, a non-binary sex bot. That's probably a better word than androgynous. Okay, we'll draw 1 for an agenda. Sick. So we're gonna seamless install advance just so that we can get the train going. We'll take it. Nico's a sexy bot. All right, that's an remote. No install. I'm so glad we drew the 1 defensive upgrade in these decks. Do we not have another click? Did I goof it? I thought Nico was more for fashion modeling. I think like Nico's actual use is a bit clandestine. Link? Yeah, here. I got you. The Nico is being paraded on a runway. You are right about that. I thought we had a seamless. I thought we did our clicks wrong. They ran HQ? What? Wait, I don't. It's going so fast. They spent a click, play jailbreak. They hit this. Firing the runner loses 3 credits. So they had enough money. So they understand how that works, which is actually pretty neat. But they're on 5 credits. Okay, so I don't want to draw because they're a bit aggressive on HQ and they saw 2 cards. They saw 3 cards before they trashed an Urtica, I think. Maybe not. So I think we just ice up here once, like a diviner would be like annoying enough, and then advance this twice. Oh. Why did it zoomed in real weird? Okay. Nico sex bots? Yeah, it is. Is there a way to slow it down? Not that I know. I also don't know what this button does here. It's now full screen. Okay, I figured out what that button does. Test out 2 Urticas, it will run them. I believe you. So this is the scary thing, is like if they steal this, they win. And we have to ride it in the remote server for a fair bit. So I think we're just gonna put this in the remote server, and next turn we'll do advance, and put whatever ice we can on it. What am I looking at here? Ma, this is Chiriboga, which is somebody named Bob put this together. And allows you to play system gateway versus an AI. Okay. Yeah, we're playing a bot, and it's very quick, very aggressive. I can't zoom out, so like this is what the board's gonna look like. I'm so used to on JNet, just trying to figure it out. So we're gonna go advance, and I think the end the run that costs them the most is, we could hope on Diviner, but I feel like paying 1 extra for Palisades is just good enough. All right, and we just have to have 3 credits. The runner AI is very aggressive. They've been taking a lot of really good singles. But now that they've like, this is the problem, is that the deck has smartware distributors in it. So the bot is going to commit to this, even though this is very much threatening to be the winning agenda. And so they instead smartware distributed. So that's a system gateway lesson, which is good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we very much won, and we can play again. That was really cool. The corp is opposite. Okay, we're gonna find out what the corp looks like. I want to play again, but can I change sides? Yes. I play Go, and AI getting good at the game has affected how people look at certain moves. Would be interesting. The bot calculates that more cards at the start are worth more than a click on VRcation. Because I have no doubt they do. Now, what is going to call this, unfortunately, is the person who put Chiriboga together doesn't play a lot of Netrunner. So I don't think the AI is like, it's not like a neural network. It's not like the Go AIs that were started to do bad moves, and then it took a while for people to understand why they were bad, why they were actually good moves. At least maybe it'd be really cool if that wasn't the case. But yeah, it probably does value cards. Like, we just need cards now. Why not? Yeah, learning AI sounds. This game is probably very difficult to make an AI, but that's not gonna stop us. We're the corp again. That wasn't the right thing we wanted to do. Yeah, it's hard coded, which is really interesting. Runner tutorial deck. Okay. I feel like I'm learning a lot about how this person plays Netrunner by playing the AI. I know, exactly. It's like, it's weird. It's like reading someone's memoirs. It's very enlightening. Is the AI open source? Yeah, I think it is. I think there's a link on GitHub attached to the front page that gets you to everything. Yeah. Okay, opening hand. Apparently they play a bit conservatively. Our opening hand has it has economy. An early jailbreak is actually quite good. Dockland's jailbreak HQ turn 1, I'll take it. The Tread Lately and the Carmen are not things I really want in an opening hand. I think like the best opening hand card you can get is the one that increases the quality of your draw for the whole game. But we'll keep this. Actually, probably can mulligan this. This is not a very big deck. It double ices every time? Get out. If I knew that. Like, what is this? This is an Urtica Cipher. We know it's an Urtica Cipher, right? So I'm going to play the card I want. I'm going to hit the money. I'm going to run this. I'm going to take the Urtica Cipher. Okay. Hit the Urtica Cipher. Oh, it's a Nico. Okay, fine. Not upset. We'll draw. That's the one. Verbal plasticity. Yeah. Does that mean it will announce its plays? There's a narrate AI checkbook. Yeah, it probably. I thought it was a bit of a beta, but there is an accessibility feature that will allow it to like basically, explain what it's doing. I haven't tried it. But that's pretty interesting. Such a good card name. Yeah, it is. I think we just want to get this down and set up. They only have 6 credits, so like it's fine for us to face check. The most disastrous face check is a white space, which we'd love to hit while we have more than 10 credits, but I think we can just set up. So this first time we draw, we get 2 cards. Let's see how that works. It works flawlessly. We have too many cards in hand. We definitely want to click this. And in the last click, we haven't considered too much. I don't love installing Dockland's Pass here, but maybe we could do this and run HQ next turn as a threat. The AI is not very good. We tread lightly. Yeah, I could believe it. Oh, now they have money. We should have ran last turn. I'm just gonna run. So what would be a nightmare is that if this is a Karuna and it does 2 net damage and it hits both their Carmins, that's like the worst case scenario. Oh God, please, not today. Going Jack out there, my friend. Okay, face checking is not that bad. It was okay for us. We can draw here. Okay, that's cute. That's cute. If we want money, we can hit telework into creative, and then it's hard for us to dump our hand into VRcation. So we might have to do an early VRcation just like the robot did. You talked it into being? I know. If you run an unres remote with tread lightly, it'll res it. Oh my God, we're tread lightling this remote. They have 5 credits. As long as we don't get Urtica. Oh, we don't have tread lightly. Do we just VRcation and run the remote? We can't lose our Carmen actually if it is an Urtica. So Carmen, VRcation, run remote. Yeah, it's fine. I just didn't want to lose this if it is an Urtica. Oh, it's a diviner. Okay. What did they call? What's happening? Did they call even or odd? I feel like they called it appropriately. Oh, odd. So they trashed the Mayfly. You don't have to call anything. What is this? Yeah, I forgot that this is not a call. It's just even or odd. So they got it. Funny enough, the diviner now just doesn't end the run at all. But this is honestly terrifying. Where are the, how are there chatbots? How do I destroy? Hold on one second. Report. Okay. Diviner would have a much higher skill ceiling if you could call it. Yeah, it'd be much more fun. It would be more fun, I think. But then I think you would understand that you should be calling odd all the time in this deck. Okay. No, this always calls odd maw. It's not a choice. This diviner just calls odd every time. Okay, but they have 2 credits. Like, I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna run R&D. It's only white space that's bad. Only white space. This is gonna be a palisade they put there. Is the bot thinking? Interesting. Is this board simulator? Yo, Duke, it's something called Chiriboga that somebody put together. That's all it is. It's a white space. Why do they have it? So when the AI plays ice, it doesn't actually have cards. It just puts down a face down JPEG, and then based off of the best situation, it we had 1 odd card and it hit it. Are you based off of the situation? Then it paints what the ice should be, and then it flips it. We are in a really bad spot, I'll be honest. I'm not sure about it having a higher skill ceiling if you called. There's more even cards than odd cards by a good amount. In these decks, yes. But in standard, I think it would be more interesting. All right, our money's so bad, we're going to do the smartware distributor. Oh, man. If this is an Urtica, they just keep advancing it? Oh. They realize we only have even cards now. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what this possibly could be. Okay. So we can't sure gamble this turn. How much does it cost to get through that? Wow, 4. A fair bit. They have agendas in hand. You think it's send a message so they like prioritize getting down an unres dice before they scored? Because they could have scored it last turn, right? What did they do? Yeah, they claimed credits. They could have scored it. Why would it slow roll it? That's ridiculous. I'm into it. All right, we're just gonna set up our economy. I guess we can play a Mayfly just to scare them. But it's going to be like next turn is basically our whole turn to play Sure Gamble. So hopefully we don't. I don't know what this is. Can you afford to eat Urtica this turn? If it does 6 damage? No, I don't think so. So we're on 3 credits. So we can do credit, Sure Gamble, Jailbreak HQ. That's probably good enough. Is it cheaper to Mayfly? No. Honestly, similar. No, it's the same. So we'll do credit. I'm not running it. It's fine. If it's a send a message, whatever. There should be agendas in HQ. That's been in the remote for like a year. I don't know how breaking works. Then I click on this, and then I click on the subroutines. Okay. Very cool. Continue. We drew a card. Why did I draw? Oh, because of jailbreak. Very good. And it tells you which cards you're going to access, and you just pick the order, which honestly is unsettling. Okay, we found a send a message. So that makes this one less likely we send a message, and we're halfway to winning the game. Again, this is only 6 points. Shouldn't we have drawn 2 there? Maybe. I wanted to get the run in, though, because I'm worried they're going to trash this Urtica and jam into the remote server, and it's been a couple turns. You see, this is what's going to happen. We'll take that, too. Oh, okay, we win. Cool. Sick. Oh my god, this is an Urtica. And like, what is this ice here if they didn't free res it? Like, this has to be a Tithe or a white space. Because I'm assuming when they score, steal, send a message, they res the most expensive ice. So this is not the brand. I think the deck only has 2 Karunas, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Oh, that was rough. Does jailbreak verbal? No, it doesn't interact, because verbal is not the first time you draw a card. It's when you take the basic action to click to draw a card. So any other card draw effect doesn't work with verbal, barring other cards that work on the basic draw card action. Yeah, the resol slash resol question mark. Okay, we're gonna do one more. I couldn't figure, like, that is mind-boggling. Like, it's interesting to know. It seems like it does care about the Urtica bluff. The problem is, like, once the Urtica bluff is sitting on 4 for a couple turns, it just doesn't make any more sense for us to run it. Because if it's an Urtica, we spend money getting in and we take all that damage. But there's like no complete image, or not complete image. There's no neurospike in this specific format, so I'm not that interested in running it. Look, Penny Shaver as early is good, but I think they double ice up centrals every time. So I'm gonna mulligan. Oh, telework is good. We want verbal plasticity. We want telework. We would even take the van. Oh, that's good. Try the advanced decks. I think we will play a game with advanced decks, but if we're like gonna build an AI, I think we want to do it for the basic decks because there's just less cards to worry about. Okay, so they're on 5 credits. So we have a pretty good start. We actually can dump not all of our hand, but we can do sure gamble, telework, hit the telework, and then creative, and then next turn we could even open with a V-Arcation if we thought that was appropriate. That's, I think, the most economy you can have on turn 1. Well, barring playing 3 sure gambles. Okay, they got the hedge. So they're on 9 credits. So now we could, in theory, face check into a white space and it'd be only okay. I think we will V-Arcation first click. This card's actually a bit awkward in the format, I think. We'll Penny Shaver first, and then next turn we can face check in. So I guess we'll telework contract here. I like that you can teach yourself how to play with this program due to lockdown stuff. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to teach you good fundamentals. Well, it could. It probably can. It should. But like, if the opponent is doing weird stuff, like, that's not something you always have to deal with. But I think it's a very good way to learn the game. It's just maybe a bit fast, and I don't think it explains as obviously. You'd have to go through this log. Like, I'd be okay with a mode that every time it does something, it gives you a prompt, and you click on it, and you say, okay, I got it, right? Instead of it just doing everything. It plays better than some people in JNet. Oh, cat, come on. You're not being nice. But yeah, of course. 2 clicks on credits, still decent range for the cards. It's not terrible. It's a diviner. We're half even, half odd. We hit an even. We'll access. Steal a send a message. Penny Shaver. Hit a government subsidy. Okay. So if we dump these cards, we can jailbreak in and die. We're not gonna do that. We'll draw. Okay, we're double Carmen. This is a code gate. I think we're okay drawing once more. Mayfly is okay if they do something on the remote. They put this in last turn. There's 1 defensive upgrade, and then it's either Nikos, Regoliths, or Urtica. We'll just clear that out. We didn't need to clear that out, actually. Maybe we should have put a breaker. Is 0 actually even? Yeah, 0 is even. It says so on the card. I don't know if you're trolling me. 3 advanced. Like, I don't know what this is. Like, this is not a thing you have to worry about in Netrunner. Like, triple advanced, are you going to run it? I don't know. Probably not. Quick, thank you for doing an amazing job, Elcor. Discovered Nisei through you and bought everything for it. Yo, that's dope. Glad you can make it. Glad you found this channel. I don't know how you did that. We don't really have outreach. That's fantastic. I'm glad you're enjoying it as much. Cheers for the kind words. Zero's a even number by every definition of even. Yo, Burden. Firstly, what's up? Secondly, can you explain that mathematically? Because I'd love to hear the QED on it. Especially love the video where you analyze gameplay floored me so much depth. Greetings from Vancouver. Oh, cheers. That's very kind. I'm glad you liked it. I'm not running this. Oh, now we're running HQ. I think we can just set up and then we'll get this. Does it change the math? Yeah, it does. So we can get a Carmen down, we can hit the sure gamble, and next turn we'll just jailbreak HQ. It'll cost us 2 credits or whatever. The adjacent integers are odd, so 0 must be even. 0 is divisible by 2, yeah. Oh, wow. Wow, they have money. Oh, wow. And they iced up appropriately after we showed that we have the breakers. That's quite cute. 0 appears between 2 odd numbers. I guess that's good enough, huh? What about if I don't believe in 0? 0's not even by the typical definition? I guess we'll never know. We have a cleaver, which means brawn on HQ is the only really annoying thing. I want another econ card because I'm a coward. Okay, we have all the breakers. So now it's just strictly an economy and a bluff game. Oh, it's not a bluff. You see, at this point, I'm not going to contest this, and maybe it's foolish, but them having 24 credits, honestly, it's fine. I would rather jailbreak HQ than R&D, just because they've been holding cards. It's turn question mark at this point, but it's been a while and they've scored 1 agenda, so I'd much rather run HQ. So I'm going to run HQ. We don't have a Docklands Pass. It's a single axis. We know they have a government subsidy they played, so this is all new cards. Jamara, trivial issue. Oh, good. It's a white space. We only have to break 1 of these subroutines. Okay. Yo, Pat, how's it going, man? You ready for Sunday? Wait, what? Is the right way this time? The 9? Is it? No. No, it's right here, but as soon as they flip it, the card flips, but then the credit flips. Because also what's weird is the credit is, no, that's the right credit. Like the credit flips upside down. This shaded in part should be in the bottom right corner if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it was in our turn? Dropping to tease an approaching appearance. Okay, we're in. It's only a single axis. It does give us the penny shaver. Oh, an off-world office. Sick. We'll take it. On the corpse turn. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. That's really weird. Okay, we're going to keep drawing up. Again, we have money on here. That's another overclock. They have 22 credits. I don't think we care about taking this down. Like, at this point, we could just value overclock R&D. Again, I think Brawn is the worst case scenario, and at least for the overclock, it pays for most of it. Yeah, that's fine. Nah, Palisade. That is a bad ice. I don't even know if you res that sometimes. And to the overclock, you definitely wouldn't res this, because we're not going to spend 4 credits trashing trashables. So this is basically the overclock is worth nothing, unless we again hit trashables, but there's nothing that costs that much. Penny shaver. Oh my god, damn. Okay, well, we're good. So they'll res this ice. It'll be a brawn. They chose not to res send a message? Pat, we said Sunday. We definitely said Sunday. There's no way we didn't say Sunday. Okay. Okay, this clearly is a bit of a question mark because they did not res an ice with send a message. So they're saying that the surprise of this ice, which mind you, we have 3 breakers, is worth more than the credits that this ice costs to res. And I don't see in any scenario that would be true unless this is a tithe, right? Because if it's a tithe, or maybe a white space, yeah, sure, maybe us being uneasy that it's a brawn is worth more than the 1 to 2 credits. But like if it's a brawn, you'd res a brawn, I'm pretty sure. I think we're just going to take the penny shaver 4. And then next turn we can jailbreak essential. Solomir speaks truth. Vancouver's the best city for Netrunner. I've heard good things. Okay, we'll draw once. Yeah, it's a smartware. They double iced here, so we're not really in a rush. We can just set the smartware and wait for them to push something to this remote server. Like, we don't really have to do anything. I just don't know what they're going to do behind a single piece of ice. Like, it's Managarm or Urtica or Bust. And in terms of Urtica, like, we still have 18 cards to go through, so I don't mind too much. I'll just click for credit here. We do actually have 2 MU, so we could have considered... This is how much MU we've spent. Interesting. Oh, another remote server. Okay. Interesting. And keep drawing through. At this point, we'll just jailbreak HQ. It's been a while. Again, they've been drawing. This again is only 1 credit because we have the requisite. I do wish we could meet up at the pub again soon. What's it like out there? I speak to a lot more people from Vancouver who play Flesh and Blood, and I think they're doing everything on webcam, which tracks. It's the same here if you want to do tournaments. Every card in our hand is odd. I guess we'll break it. Okay. Continue. They lowered. We no longer have a lockdown in Montreal. That stopped. Oh, excuse me. Access cards. Oh. Can I? Would you let me? Okay, Urtica. We definitely will trash that. It means there's 1 less to deal with. And it's a second Urtica, which at this point means every card that they advance in a remote server is an agenda. Those are the only 2 cards in the whole deck that are advanceable. So at this point, we in theory can play entirely control, and they cannot win. No in-person gatherings at all. Okay. BC pulled back a step on public health guidelines, so more restrictions on gatherings. The typically mathematical definition of an even number is n equals 2k, where k is an integer. Okay. So 0 equals 2 times 0? Kind of just feels a bit like, you know, insider trading at that point. Okay, so I've been warned that if we tread lightly this empty remote, they'll consider rezzing it. We have been bamboozled. Joke's on them. We got our penny shaver credit. So looking smart AI. They tuned it last week. Okay. Most of the cards in our hand don't really do anything. And again, like this is the unfortunate thing is we can do it again. We have no real reason to do much here. We could play the Mayfly. The Mayfly, I think it's sometimes cheaper than the Cleaver if you have to deal with a brand. But largely, we should just be clicking for credits until they, you know, get fed up or flood. I think we have 2 jailbreaks and we play both of them. Oh, that's cool. I don't even know if that's worth installing. No, it's probably not. We'll just hit that up. We'll hit that up. Click for credit. Get rid of a card. Oh, another thing is that this technically helps the Unity, but there's no high strength code gates in this. Because Unity scales with how many of them... I should move my face to somewhere it makes more sense. Unity moves scales with how many things installed. Okay, so we just jailbreak this and we'll probably win. The animations are quite fun. So just take the penny shaver and we'll just overclock the remote. In theory, we should have overclocked the remote first, but we can still click through 2 brand subroutines if we need to. It's not going to be cheaper because we're going to have to boost anyways. So we have 17 credits for this run. We hit a Karuna. We could tank the whole Karuna. Oh, we're not tread lightning the remote. That's a shame. Honestly, don't know if we're going to have money. It's automatically using the overclock, which is interesting. We could have let that fire. Sometimes I wish JNet had nicer animations. I have no doubt it's something the JNet team is probably thinking of. It's probably just not a priority. But it would be cool. It'd be really cool. 2, 3, 4. This is 4 more credits, so we'd actually be dipping into real credits. So if we break this 13, we go down to 8. 8 credits is enough for bronze. So that means we can break every ice. So we can go ahead and break this. Honestly, I don't know worth 4 credits are worth these 4 cards. They might be. Okay. Kind of like the lack of animation on JNet. JNet's clean. It is a bron. Okay, so that's worst case scenario. We could click through two of the subroutines and they could install a piece of ice from archives or HQ. Kind of want to just let that happen because I don't know what the AI is going to do. And I don't know how you click through ice. Oh, we figured it out. It's actually pretty easy. Probably with animations, it could be way too much. Okay, so they installed another one. What do you got? It's a palisade. Okay, that's only 3 credits. Got it. This has to be an agenda. It'll be the 1-pointer. Oh, it's an off-world. Okay, we'll take it. Okay. This is a bit manic. This is like really aggressive just because a lot of animations happen very quickly if you hover over things. But also because things happen very quickly in this. But that's good. It's good. You can like grind out games pretty quickly. Okay, so we haven't lost to this AI yet, which is good because that feels, it feels like maybe I'm not embarrassed is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to play 1 as the Corp Advanced deck just to see how it is. The Corp Advanced deck is pretty silly. There's a bit more options in it. And after that, we're going to try and do the AI thing. But if we look at the Corp Advanced deck, we have access to an Amazing Amusements. In terms of actual tag punishment, well, we have 2 Public Trail, and I don't know if the AI is going to respect that. We have a single Retribution and then Predictive Planograms, which is cute. We also have Fun Houses, which is a really interesting thing to see how the Corp is going to deal with. And we actually can set up lethals with really cool orbital superiority plays if we're very clever. If we do like Public Trail into orbital superiority, you can actually kill in the format. Oh, I do like the sort of laser beam that shows off between the iceberg and the ice on the interface. There's some really cool stuff. The color coding of what's dealing with what is fantastic. Yeah, the laser beam saying like this is interacting with this is very clear. I think that's cool. The advanced deck building option has a pre-built deck for each faction. Whoa, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Our opening hand, okay, so we have Send a Message, which is not the worst agenda to lose early, especially now because we're playing with a full deck size. We're actually playing to 7 points, so it's not this and then we're on game point. We have a Brown and a Palisade and no economy. Government subsidy is not really economy you can play unless you have other economy in your hand. So I'm actually tempted to mulligan this. You could definitely keep this. Like I think you could consider, I don't want to put a Palisade on Central, but you can consider tithing like R&D or HQ and then just clicking for credits, but that doesn't sound that exciting. Oh, this seems better. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so we need to protect the Nico. So I think we're going to Nico onto remote. We're going to have to Palisade it, and then we're going to have to white space HQ. We might not res the white space on HQ because we need the money to Palisade and get the Nico up. But I think that's our best case because there's no situation in which they deal with the Palisade that is very good for them. Because there's no boomerang. If they may fly this, it's very expensive. If they get their cleaver down turn 1, it's pretty expensive. So we're pretty okay with that. And it's either we put the white space on HQ or we just click for a credit. If we click for a credit and they jailbreak us, there's a chance that they hit the Urtica, which would be okay. Obviously, if they steal this, it's bad. And if we white space it, we're basically committing to res the white space, which I don't love. I don't know. Protecting this off-world seems a bit important. This AI is a good sport. Schmendrick. So far, they've been absolute class act. Oh, conduits in this format. Shit. And they don't use it. That's amazing. I totally forgot that there actually is pressure. The white space is perfect for this remote server. So we're going to Predictive to draw 3. We need ice. This is going to flood us, though. Oh, Tithe is good enough, honestly. But I think they will tank through the Tithe. If I had the runner AI get stuck just bouncing against Funhouse every turn. That's really cool to try and understand why that's happening. And he would just take the money. We need, what is it? 6 credits for everything? Leech, that's good. Second click Verification. And then last click Creative Commission, so... Superconducting Hub, everyone's favorite. All right, Palisade on remote still seeming pretty good. They have 7 credits. We have a Seamless. We want to wait for this to go, so I think we're going to build the remote server just a bit. I think we're going to put the Funhouse in front of it. Not fantastic. Funhouse is a lot of times better on a central server, especially with Conduit if they tend to go through it a lot. But here we're just going to click for 2 credits. We're going to overdraw next turn, so maybe we can play an economy card, we can hope. And then we could put something in the remote server and maybe ice up this. Who knows? Well, this is our start. Programming, there are actually multiple zeros, usually signed, unsigned, positive, and or negative. It's also usually different from null and void. I'm way more familiar than that, the purely mathematical concept. I'm going to be in the rabbit hole for a while. So they got the red team down, and we know that they do like running archives for 3 credits, which is fine. That's not the worst thing. But they're on 4 credits because they installed this and didn't hit it either. So I think it's a pretty good time for us to do Off-World Office Advance, because the chance of them having a breaker, installing it, and running this and dealing with both of these is pretty low. And we don't even have to advance, maybe. I'm just so surprised they're not face checking with the conduit leech on the table. And I don't want to put Palisade. Like, we could put Palisade here. I just don't want to do it. It's 3 credits. That's a lot of money for us right now. But we're going to have hand size issues here. So I think we do advance once and just put a Palisade on R&D and don't res it. I don't know. Maybe we just ice this up. They'd be a bit wary, but I don't think they are. The value of 0 is fascinating topic in its own. Again, I don't believe in 0 still. Oh my God, tread lightly remote. They figured us out. Funhouse for 8. It automatically updates the numbers. Super slick. Well, I guess Palisade for 6 is the play. Okay. Well, we'll financially recover from this, I reckon. All right, Regolith. So if we score this out with Off-World Office, we can install the Regolith, which isn't that good. I'm actually pretty okay just triple advancing this, scoring it, and then next turn committing to the Regolith. Actually, no, we could in theory seamless this and then get the Regolith in there. But if we seamless this, we're going to spend 2 credits, so we'll be on 4. And then we'll be up on 11. So it's not as necessary. I think we can just score this out and throw out an Urtica. I don't know. Doesn't seem like a big rush. All right. Again, we're playing to 7 points now. So we'll get rid of an Urtica face down. And that's that. I have no idea how they're going to interact with Urtica, which I'm really excited to find out. Okay, so if we res the Tithe, we do damage. So the question is, do we want to give them? And this does not look like it's a run. It's a run, spin, a click. It's not actually a run with the red team. So I don't think I mind just resing the Tithe and trading an Axis for a leech counter. I don't think I mind that. And then if they red team, we'll consider resing a Palisade. I don't know. If they still 3-pointer here, like, it's pretty rough because we don't have the Brawn on the table. But we hit an overclock, so it kind of seems like value. Oh, these are pretty. Okay, now they're running HQ. White space will get them. It will take 3 credits. It will end the run. And they're not red teaming any of this stuff. Which there's no real cost doing it. Now they red team the remote. It says uses red team. Okay. Saga, how's it going? What programs have we installed here? How you doing? Going to get APOC? I'm worried about it. You can't teach the AI about APOC because I think it's a huge slippery slope. Is this another game in which we score superconducting hub? I do not want to do that. I never want to do that. The other, like, okay, the other option, I think we just install this, click for 2 credits. Don't love it. We could consider advancing it once. If they steal it, I don't think we mind. And then next turn, we could score that out and then do something like put a Regolith in. The Palisade we want to res for 3, the Mayfly. It's fine. Now they're running the remote, which is totally okay. If we res the Funhouse, we go down to 3, which means next turn we would Regolith, which is fine. If you res the Funhouse, they probably bounce. Not great. No, seriously, this is not JNet Saga. This is called Chiriboga, which was put together by a player, a Netrunner, casual Netrunner player, and it allows you to play against an AI. It's really, really cool. So now they're running Palisade. This is still a basic action run. It's not even a conduit. Oh no, it is a conduit run. So we do want to end this run, which again, we're absolutely in shambles. They're Mayflying it and leeching it. Value Town. They're going ahead and breaking this too. So this is 2 axes off the top. Again, we do want to just get the brand on the table, I think, to some extent, just because of the existence of send a message. Okay, nothing. And there's 1 Mayfly down. They're on 2 credits. We're not on many more though, but we could predict it for money. I think that's what we do around these places. Around these parts. We could seamless and then get a Regolith in there. We could also just throw this in the garbage and put a Regolith on top of it. It is very cool, Sokka. Also, I checked out, I wasn't able to jump into any of your streams, but I checked out the VOD from at least when you had Brandon in 2 weeks ago. It was really fun. I'm just going to advance, score it. It draws 2 cards, which is a bit iffy with just a white space. We'll draw an agenda. Yeah, okay. So now we really need to stick a Regolith on the table. and get it going so we could consider government subsidying. And we also really need to get the brand down because this is such a liability in our hand. There's a chance we feed it to them. We just do like install, send a message, install brand. Oh, they're pulling out a Carver, which again means that they're going to go centrals. Like this remote server is sorry, this central server is pretty trash. They break this for 1 credit. My age is trash 4 res dice to install 1 face down. Floofy. They saved so much money. Yeah, we need to deal with this or we're going to lose. Luckily, we have to send a message. Okay, they have an orbital. Yeah, we need to deal with this stat. I think the Karuna will do. Planning to have face cam tomorrow. Oh, heck yeah. That's really cool. So there's a big button purge here, which is a cool suggestion. But I don't think we can afford to do that. I think... Actually, maybe we do. Because the other thing is, like, we want to get the Karuna here. So we could trash this. The Tithe is worth keeping. We trash the Tithe, put the Karuna in front of it. So it would be on 1 credit, which is not great. We could first install the Regolith. Res Allegrith would be on 3. So we'd spend 1 installing, it would be on 2. So we couldn't res the Karuna? Huh. If we trash both of these, we'll be on 2 credits. So we could no, we still couldn't do it. We could do credit Karuna on here. That actually might be the right thing because I don't think we can give them 4 more accesses. Admittedly, they're actually 2 fresh accesses. I don't think we can allow them to do that. So I think we wipe this whole server and just install the Karuna. Credit. Do y'all think I'm wrong here? The other option is like just to weather the storm because their economy is a bit limited. They'll kit telework. They'll run here for 3. I think we have to do it. Yeah, I don't think we have a choice. What? No, I clicked on them. I was meant to drag them. Oh, that is a problem. We can't undo. Going to live with that, I guess. Yikes. You have 7 cards in hand? Yeah, that's fine. Then we'll just credit. That's not good. That's quite bad. 4 clicks, 1 credit. They're running. This is a run. It doesn't even let us. It doesn't even give us the option to say no. We don't want to res because it knows we can't afford it. They go through the palisade for a credit. The Tithe. It's gonna fire. It's gonna give us a credit. You're gonna see a couple cards here. Now we do have something on the table to res if they hit us send a message. This is bad. We wanted to trash these so this wouldn't happen. It wouldn't let us. Oh, they're APOCing us. Running archives, gaining 3 off the red team. They're going back. Please stop. Luckily here, the Tithe is going to do enough that we'll be able to res the Karuna if they come back for the 4th time, or so that we can at least now that we can at least jam the Regolith. This is 2 more new cards. This is unsustainable. And now they have so many leech counters. Basically, as soon as we put anything on the table here. Oh, 6 credits or 4 cards? Ooh. Ooh. I think you can have 6 credits. This is like the situation that you invent that you'd be like, oh man, in every case, you don't give them the cards. And even in this situation where they have no money, like you don't give them cards. Cards are on this format so bad. Like they have money, have more money. Okay, we have a fun house. Fantastic. So I think we're going to just put the Regolith in the remote server. We're going to res it. And we're going to hit it twice. We have to purge before committing to send a message because it's remote server again. Just they can get through for the cleaver. We definitely need the brawn on there. 12, 9, go. And then next turn we purge. We're going to discard probably the funhouse. A retribution would be sick. Oh, they're just drawing up. They realize we have money. If it's against an AI, should we say it or they? I try to say they. I don't think I've been saying he or anything. What's happening? Why isn't there an eyeball on my deck? We're gonna purge. Drag to archives. Oh, I just opened archives? Okay. All right. So they're still checking archives here. They do get the leech counter, and they finished the red team now. If there was on your turn too, I assume it means AI has seen the card. Oh, I think you're right. That is really cool. Yeah, that's actually a sick feature. So this eyeball is here to let us, as a reminder, to know that this is a card that the runner has seen, so they're not interested in running it. That's very cool. I'm into that. Now they're at 11 credits, and it's actually really hard to score out here. Again, they're on game point. If they steal the send a message, so its ability text is going to be irrelevant if they steal it. So I think we still just need to build up the remote server. And as soon as they put a decoder, like they're going to hit HQ for sure. And then we're kind of at the whims of bit. To show it's a known card. Yeah, totally. I didn't think of that. That's really cool. They're running this. They're running the remote server? Okay. Have fun. Cool. It's a feature I'd like on JNet because I forget all the time. Yeah, I know. It's something technically, like, I don't think they'll add to JNet just because for in a tournament setting. They have 2 tags now. Magic Arena does something similar if the opponent sees one of your cards and known information. It puts the eye on it. It also, like, shows cards face up in your opponent's hand, right? Sometimes. All right, they're taking this down. That's fine. We have enough money. And they cleared the tags. Like, that's so expensive for them. I'm surprised they did that. And we have another one. I think we install Advanced the Urtica. Yeah, it shows known cards face up. I think that's cool. It's different in here because you shuffle your hand where it matters. But I'm into that. I'm going to try this. This is not a play that I generally like. How do you res Urtica? Does it allow you to res it? Verbal, no, they're not running it. Please run it. Ah, absolutely hosed me. And they played this last click, which is not something you generally want to do. So I'm putting this remote server, which is actually a bit useless. Yeah, because if they steal this, we lose. We actually could do install advance on their agenda. I think we're going to do that. What you can cancel. I want to. Can I? How? Drag. Very cool. Okay, so we could lose here. Sure gamble, and they're running. Why did I think this was a good play? Why did they? This runs pretty well in mobile? Get out. Why did I think this was a good play? We lose right now, don't we? I think we lose. It's 3 for this. They don't care about this, apparently. They run through this. And this is like 7 credits? They have exact credits for this? We lost the bot. Hold on. No. It clicked through a subroutine and let us have this. Ochen. Now said it wasn't good. I'm surprised it did that. It didn't run our Urtica, and now it runs this, which kind of tracks. Money's bad, but what else is new? Do we seamless or do we advance? If we advance, we're on 2 credits, which is good enough because we can install this next turn. I think we're just going to do advance. All right. How's intelligence the bot made? Is it a neural network? It's just a hard-coded algorithm, Diogene. That's what the creator said. And it's based off of how they play Netrunner. But we're going to make an AI after this. And it's... Ooh, it's going to be a bit tricky. I don't know how... Possibly, yeah, we can do it. We're going to do it on Notepad. Okay, so we have a combo here where we can trash their breaker. And it's definitely worth noting that that's their last cleaver, if I'm not mistaken. So we need to get the regolith to stick, which is not too hard. Okay. Let's go. Oh, good morning, Nana. Did I wake you up? I'm sorry. Gotta stern meow. Okay, so they installed a DZMZ. They only have 9 cards left. Maybe not the thing you want to install at this point. They have one of these, a penny shaver. That's good. So they definitely want to run. I think at this point we just want to draw into our mana garm. Obviously an agenda would be good. This server is not totally protected anymore. They can run it and win off a single. It'd have to be a 3-pointer, but they could do it. So there's some reason why we'd want to ice this up a bit more. I think we want to put a diviner there. So I think we're going to do Regolith. And just get a diviner out there so we don't lose to just a cheeky single. At this point, the Palisade is worth a credit to us, a credit for them. We'll just keep it. We've committed to it. But this on the central server is not particularly strong. It's just 1 credit. And if we kill the Cleaver, we'll be glad that we have it. And killing the Cleaver is technically strategy. Okay, they have all their breakers. So we're hoping that they run and we can do Public Trail into Retribution. Because then in terms of breakers, they've played 1 Mayfly and they have both Cleavers out. So they only have 1 more Mayfly as a way to break Palisades. Okay. This is going okay. Kind of don't want to put the Nico in this remote. I'll kind of be okay putting the Nico naked. A Nako. Yeah, I'm better with that. And then we just finish the Regolith, I guess. Because if we put this in the remote, we're really committing to keeping it. And if they just spend a click and 2 credits trashing this, I think we're fine with that. Man, wow. Oh, yeah, I guess it's free, huh? Okay, yeah, they're running it. That's fine. They'll definitely trash it. Nico campaign, it's gone. Okay, clicking 2 credits. It's like hitting a white space. Just as good. Except we don't have a Nico anymore. Oh, that is perfect. Okay, we can draw once because we can score 4 2s. Okay, the mana garment to the remote is nice. I wonder if they're going to run that. And a Palisade on the remote's actually pretty good for the money. We could just hedge fund here. Hedge fund seems nice. But we Palisade on the remote. That's another 3 credits. And again, we're trying to hit this. Well, we'll probably just wait. Yeah, Public Trail activated? Oh, you're totally right. Yeah, we could have considered Public Trailing there. Yeah, actually, we definitely should have. I totally forgot that they had to make a run for this, of course. Okay, never mind. We're fine. No, we're not fine. They're going to have 8 credits. Dang. I think we had a window. We lost it. I wasn't paying enough attention. What did they access? Seamless launch. Okay. I wonder, that's probably not going to change how they play. I'd be surprised if it does. How many cards are left in the deck? It does not tell us. There's a second Public Trail in the deck, if I'm not mistaken. So we're at 20. This remote server is like, this is 2 credits. This is some credits, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not that expensive. I think we need a Brawn on the remote or on this server. Diviner's 250. So installing this is like what? 1, 2, 3. It's 10 credits, which honestly seems fine. Super tiny half number covered by Tithe. Oh yeah, it's there. Yeah, thank you, Kat. Yeah, it's right there. I just don't want to lose R&D. Hey, here, 1 second. Oh. Yeah, you got it. Okay. All right, they're running. This is okay. Obviously, we want to keep the mana garm, but it's very unlikely that they'll be able to access and still keep 8 credits for the Public Trail. So they're going through this. They dealt with the bottom end of the run first. A bit okay. I think the AI did a weird right there. I think the AI ran the remote server. They clicked through 2 brand subroutines and then let the AI let the end the run fire. And now they're running the remote server. Well, they definitely zigged when we thought they would zag. Let me tell you. Okay. I feel like I would zoom out at this point, but I can't. So this is the Brawn, which will drop us to 10 credits, which is healthy. Into the Diviner. I think we want to res this. Otherwise, if they go through, this is 1 credit. This is 4. I just feel like we kind of want an excuse to Public Trail them, which is expensive. It's a 5 credit play. Oh, they're letting us do this. Sick. Do we have ice? I don't know. We definitely should have checked archives first. I don't want to res a funhouse. Okay. I think that's their turn. It's saying corporation draw phrase. Okay, wow. We found our last hedge fund. They're on 10 credits. we can score anything to win. Okay, I feel like the Managarm will just do enough. I want to draw a 1 or 2 pointer. I don't want a 3 pointer. That's good. Because if they steal this, it's fine. Public Trail's a successful run, right? Yeah. Damn, we had a window. We had a window. And we totally did not pay attention. But there's still a Cleaver in the game, so it's not like the best window. Oh no, that's the last Cleaver. There's still a Mayfly in the game, excuse me. And they're running remote first click, so they might just get this. Unless they do some weird Brawn subroutine thing again. No, they're breaking all of it. They're clicking through this though. So it comes down to the credits, and it means that if they're clicking through this, they're gonna float to Funhouse tags. So interesting. It means we won't have to public trail. But it comes down to that Mayfly. Okay, so yeah, this is where the AI starts to do really weird stuff. So they ran, broke the Brawn, and then I think they hit this and realized don't end your turn with a tag, and then just end their turn. So there's a chance that they don't have, I don't know actually. It seems like they might not have a full understanding of like what the entire server is, and they do with ice one at a time, as opposed to like adding up the entire server and understanding the cost to run the full server. Anyways, that'll be a victory we almost lost, honestly. We almost threw it by putting on the remote. If they committed to the remote, we would have lost. But maybe it's a bit of a hard commit. All right. Cool. Okay. So. This is not exactly playing Netrunner, but I want to take an exercise. I want to figure out what it would take to build a runner AI. And we're not going to actually like code something. We're going to get like pseudo code something. But I want to see how difficult it is, because it's probably pretty tricky. Just joined. Looks like we're playing an AI today. Thanos, how's it going? Yeah, we played a couple games against Chiriboga, and it's pretty cool. But I think what I want to do now is we have a bit of time just to try and like write a structural framework for what we think an AI can be that will specifically pay runner. And we're not going to interface with Chiriboga in any meaningful way. Like I just want to write down like just pseudo code so that we can in theory simulate it if we were playing a game and see if we can follow our rules to get to an answer. Andre, do you code? Technically, yes. I did my undergraduate degree in computer science here in Montreal and McGill. I don't really code since. I have the skills to code, and I kind of really miss it. I recently had to do some like Python scripting for work last couple weeks, and it was a ton of fun. So yeah, technically I do. I have a paper that says I can at least. Okay, so let's start here. Okay, so let's talk about it. And I think we're just gonna do this in Notepad because I don't have a better way of doing it. Hold on, I opened Notepad, but you don't see it. So just a basic AI that uses branching decisions? I think so. And like this is the beginning of an important discussion of, again, things that I don't know really exactly how to talk about is precisely. So say that we want to build something that can play basic Netrunner, and we're going to make a lot of like assumptions. First assumption we're going to make is that we're only playing the system gateway starter decks, and specifically the 30 card deck minimum, just because it contains a smaller pool of cards, and the cards are generally much easier to understand. We don't have to deal with too many defensive upgrades. We don't have to deal with anything complicated. We don't have to deal with ongoing interrupts. We want to start at something very basic, so we're going to be starting with these 2 basic decks. Now, the way I see it too is there's a couple ways to deal with an AI. There's probably more than these, but the 2 that I'm thinking of directly, one of them would be like a state-based AI system. Notepad, use Vim. Okay, we're using Sublime. This is an unregistered version of Sublime. Sublime, it's very expensive, it turns out. Excuse me. So there's 2 ways of doing this. Well, there's more, but the 2 ways I'm thinking of, one way would be kind of like a state machine, right? So the idea of this is like each entity or an entity would have different states, and then it travels through states based off of like, you know, what's going on. And I don't think that makes a lot of sense for Netrunner. There'd be like an absurd amount of states. We're talking about fear right now, right? I think this is the free version of Sublime Cat. It just reminds me to like maybe at some point buy it. Good night to sleep some. Hey, Jamar, thanks for dropping by. Do you need to do this separately for Corp for Runner? Definitely, yes. So we're going to start for Runner. I think Runner is easy. Think of a way AI can play Netrunner. Step 2, tell Noah. Verification and creative commission, last click. That's all I've had to add. A Tanfish, I don't think it's always right, but yeah, I hear you. And that's something that it's going to change the value of that card. Okay, so that's one way, I think, is to have basically some sort of state machine that records different states of play and then wants to get from one state to the other. And I don't think that one makes a lot of sense to me. I think the easiest way, or an easy way that I could see a Netrunner state machine, or a Netrunner AI, excuse me, is at any point in time of the game, there's a limited amount of actions you can do, right? Like, so say that this is our hand, and let's just go say that we're going to keep this hand, right? if you asked what all the sort of actions we could do on a turn, it's actually like, it's not an absurd tree. Okay. So we always have the basic actions. So we could always, we could draw. We could always click for credit. There's the stuff that we can't do, like trash, clear tag. So we can't do that at this board state. And then we could make run. So we have how many different runs to make? We always have at least 3 runs plus X. So those are 3 different states. So 3 runs plus X, 3 run plus X. Those are the different options we could do. And then you have play any card. So play N. As long as N is a playable card in your hand, this isn't going to be a very loose formatting, I reckon. Those are all the different things we can do, right? Am I missing something? What are the basic action cards? It's click for credit, draw, play a card, make a run, clear a tag. Yeah. As a non-AI, even I have trouble making sure how to get verification last click. It's tricky. It is actually quite tricky in this format. This is it, right? So the way I want to see it is that if we have at any point in time, the AI can list out all the possible options it can do, and then it can basically put a score on what it thinks each of these things is worth at a period of time. Activate abilities. Yeah, totally. Activate abilities. Use card, right? Use card Y or whatever, right? So cards that have active abilities on them, like Penny Shaver or a Conduit. Yeah, that's totally worth knowing. Technically, you don't have them on turn 1, but that's definitely very good. Clear tag, I'm not going to worry about right now. I'm not going to worry about tags at all because there's no tags in the basic starter decks. But yeah, that's something you'd have to get to at some point. So what I want to do is that I want to like basically give a score of how good the AI thinks each of these actions are on any single board state, right? Like say on this starting board state, let's say that the values any action get are between 0 and 100. So let's just say that draw it values at something being like a 60, right? And click for credit on this board state, it thinks it's like a 40. Run X, so these would be different runs, right? So let's just break them down here. So let's give some abstract ideas here. So run, why is this spaced out so weird? Run R&D, run HQ, run archives. Start every line with a dash. You won't get annoyed. Okay, that's where we're starting on turn 1. And we're gonna get rid of the use card for now because we don't have it. So the value of running R&D has some value. We'll just assume it has some value. Of course, run HQ has some value. We can agree that run archives right now has value of 0. It's just not something that we should be doing right now because it doesn't do anything for the game. And then we have play N, which would be all the different cards in our hand. So play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this can go up to 6 if you can draw up. And so we want to assign values to each of these certain options. So let's say installing Telework Commission has a strong score. These should be the same score. Sure Gamble, I don't know, a stronger score to some extent. Obviously, we're not going to hard code these. We need to get these down to be some sort of values. But I think this is where we basically want to get the engine to be, right? And say VRcation on click 1 has a value of, maybe on this hand, 20. Run archives has value if a card is successful. Totally. I'm saying right now though, right? Like right now, there's no point to it. So let's just assign values to these. Run R&D, let's say that's a 40, run HQ is a 40. So what I think all our AI could do is if we're able to calculate what these variables are on every single action, and then we can decide either to pick the best action at any period of time, or we can have some sort of probability basis where it either has all the actions together and they each get basically raffled based off of weights. So we're more likely to do play 1, play 2, play 3, but there's some chance we'll run HQ instead, as likely a chance based off the distribution. Or we could do something where we always pick the best option plus minus some sort of wiggle to make the AI a bit more unpredictable, right? So say that based off of these, abstract numbers we have, that play the sure gamble from our hand was the best thing to do. But if this deck has a wiggle or the AI has like some sort of variance of 20%, there's a chance that it might actually click for credit. There's a chance it might even, at least 20% play the telework contract. So I think there's a couple ways we can do it. I'm realizing how out of the scope of this one stream this is going to be, but I feel like it's maybe an interesting concept to figure out what the value of all these certain things are right now. And you might be able to map out the first turn at least. And then at that point, it becomes like evaluating board state. And I feel like besides these things, you're going to have to start having like different flags based on the idea of like, do you have access to a fractor? Is that important right now? It'd be nice to have one versus they have a breaker, a thing on a remote server I can't break with versus we have one. It must weigh the actions every click. Yes, I think it has to calculate the weight of action on a click by click basis, right? Like the value of play 5 VRcation might extremely go up based off of how many cards in hand, based off of how much clicks you have left in the turn. And that's interesting enough too, because like in theory, like they'll play X, play whatever the card is. The value of this has to be like hard coded into the card itself, right? Like say we have this, let's just talk about VRcation, right? VRcation. So say 100, 0 means you're never going to play the card ever. And 100 means that this is always the best move in this situation, barring a tie with another 100 plus minus 10, right? So how could you make a model that describes how good VRcation is, right? So I think something that would increase the score of VRcation by a massive amount would be how many cards you have in hand, right? Obviously things are going to be pretty tricky. Like we're not going to have an AI that's going to like, you know, judge the matchup and be like, I don't want to over discard cards this turn. Like it's not going to do that. And largely because it's not that important in these sort of matchups, but like, how could we begin to formalize this? So VRcation card draw has a value. So this is basically 2 clicks for 4 cards. How good are cards in your hand? How good is a card in your hand? A card in your hand is worth more the less cards you have in hand, right? So it has to be some sort of inversely proportional to the amount of stuff you have, but also proportional to the amount of stuff you need at any board state, right? Like say that there's like 3 basic flags right now that are going on. Like one of them is have Fractor, one's have Killer, another one's have Decoder, and then another one is have Econ. Okay. I set clicks equals to 1, set weight equals to 90, I was 30. Number of clicks left, number of cards in hand, number of credits you have. This is getting pretty deep though, because some plays have setup. You have SMC and overclock. Yeah, Thanos, I'm not going to worry about any of that stuff. That's why I think we want to keep it to this, basically these sets of cards, which is the system gate runner deck and the system gate like core entrance deck, because they totally disregard a lot of the like mechanics in full Netrunner, like tags and like mid reactions and like, you know, a whole lot of that sort of stuff. There's no like instant speed. There's no tutoring. You have to make very few decisions besides just these basic actions. Because as soon as you have something like an SMC on the table, right, like this tree becomes ridiculous, because it's like, okay, before I take an action, pop SMC for this program or this program and this program, this program, and that obviously impacts everything in a massive way. Okay, so if we set all these to, no, this is gonna get, there's no way this is something that we can tackle right now. How far can we get? Oh my God, I'm gonna have to spend time on this. I would love to put this together. I would love to make a bot that can play basic Netrunner and see how well we can do. The issue is like I have no way of interacting with JNet, so I think I have to do this in like a machine that we type in the inputs. I feel like you can spend a whole stream just writing an AI bot for mulligans. I feel like you can make an AI bot for mulligans in like 20 minutes as is an ass, right? The more I think about it, the more I don't envy the people who program chess AIs. I wonder how much the hidden information complicates decision making, even if you know every card in opponent's deck. Hidden information is a really big deal. And from my understanding, the way that you deal with hidden information is like every action has an expected value, right? Like whether it is of getting an agenda or whether it is like we expect this to be certain piece of ice. And if we know it is certain piece of ice, or like how disastrous certain pieces of ice are, and then basically guessing the weight you think the probability of that ice being there is. For chess, it's like obviously different. Chess is, from my understanding, it's a lot more about just trees and trees and trees and trees and just calculating based off of like, if they make these possible sets of moves, what does it look like 6 years from now, right? Check, have Econ of no, then mulligan. Exactly, like Alvin, I agree with you. Like I think the very naive mulligan simulator can be like, has economy, yes or no? What is the probability of getting economy cards from your deck? Is it above whatever threshold is your, you know, your variance, plus or minus added additional weight if you want to flag certain cards? Like, do you have your prepaids in your prepaid voice deck, you know, in your hand or something like that? So other things we need to know: credit count for both. Yep. Score for both, of course. Remote count, respective ice count, res or not. I don't think we need to know remote count, because remote count is kind of just like inherently baked into the run X, right? Like run X server. You need to know what's in the servers, and you obviously need to know, excuse me, the full board state, right? You need to know what ice is in front of the servers, what's res. Yes. Yeah. Mulligans are easy because you can just put a value on each card and set a number you want to hit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you can get away with it. It's a bit more interesting on matchup dependency, and I think that's where it gets interesting, where it basically just changes the weights on the matchups, right? Like if I'm playing against an acid spam, Rozeki seems pretty good right now. Well, okay, Rozeki is probably a pretty high number in the mulligan most times. I guess not against PD, but oh God, we were just coding only VRcation. Okay, let's give this an honest try. So VRcation, the value of VRcation has to be inversely proportional to how many clicks you have left. Okay? Well, in theory, no, I don't think it's that important. There should be a penalty if you're losing a click to it, not how many clicks are left, right? Penalty of losing clicks, which should just basically cut its value in almost half, but not always. Oh my God. Hello, Infusion, how's it going? Okay. How valuable are cards? Let's say each card, like, okay, so that has to be related to the value of drawing a card, which obviously for us is a big question mark. There's no way that doing this in text notepad exe is the best way to do this. Penalty if losing clicks. Oh my God. Okay, we just got to start making assumptions as silly as they sound, just so we can start seeing how bad the model looks. Okay, so at any point in time, oh man, I'm so overwhelmed. VRcation is so much more difficult to value compared to Diesel. It is. Okay, no, I don't think it is. It's not that much more difficult. It is basically Diesel plus a small penalty if losing clicks. I think that's it. It's just Diesel minus something if you're losing clicks. But the value of Diesel, like, I think you can make a very, very naive thing that just always says if you have Diesel, play Diesel. If it's not the last click, you're not discarding. And even then sometimes, right, if you have Diesel, play Diesel. And VRcation is a bit trickier, but it shouldn't be that much more tricky. I think a big part of it is like understanding these. Like, do you have all your breakers? Let's check this out. Do you have all your breakers? In a lot of games, you need all your breakers. So I feel like VRcation is going to be favored if we don't have all our breakers. Okay. Do you have econ? What else is in the deck besides? I guess it's like econ, breakers, and like a couple tricks. I guess. Do you have all your breakers? Is economy garbage? I feel like we'd still play VRcation if economy is garbage. VRcation is hard because you don't usually want to draw last click. You don't usually want to, but I feel like you probably can in this format to be fine. But I hear you, like Kat, like we threw out VRcation in one of our last games because we're just like, this seems clumsy. Do you have all your breakers? So if we have all breakers, the value of this card gets a bit lower. Unless, do you have economy? Because if you have a hand with all your breakers on the table, but you don't have economy, you will play VRcation to draw economy. Sure. And then the question is like, yeah, man, do you need your last click? That is the big question about VRcation. Like, there's a penalty if losing clicks. But then what about if you need your last click? Like, what about if it's VRcation on 3-4 and then you wanted to run the remote? Do you need your last click? That is a really hard question. That's actually a very difficult question because you need to plan what your next click is. And so far, our model does not really evaluate clicks after clicks. Like, the value of the click for credit this turn is not is not currently being modeled based off of the value of click for credit next turn or the value of anything next turn. Barring like the way we see it is that the value of run server is going to increase the later in a turn it is. Say we're on game point or the corporation's on game point and they installed advanced something in a remote server. So there's a flag somewhere like game is on table, right? If this flag is on, that is going to heavily, I imagine, bump up the value of run X server being the thing with an advanced thing in it. But run X server is, the value of that's going to go up more and more. Firstly, on first click, it's going to be pretty important if there's a brand or you expect there to be a brand, but then it's going to go up higher and higher to the point where if, game is on table and you can't get in a remote, run X server with the winning agenda on it, it's going to be 100. Have you Urticas? Now we're talking about 100, right? I watched a video about someone made an involving AI that fought against 3 other AIs to find the best strategy to win Monopoly. I watched that video last night in Fusion. They would simulate millions of games and see the best strategy. I straight up watched that video last night. No joke. For this deck list, the value of VRcation also goes down if you have Verbal Plasticity installed, right? Yes. But that is the thing that we don't have to care about from our model. If I'm understanding what I'm preaching, the value of VRcation is not going to have to go down so much as, right? Because the way that we're talking about things, it's not that the value of VRcation is going to go down, but the value of a draw is going to go up. And I don't see a situation like, maybe this is not the right way to think of the game, but like if the value of draw with obviously modified by having verbal plasticity, say that's a 70, but VRcation is a 60, like you still don't VRcation. Does that track? And this is why some people get scared off to find it too mentally taxing to play. Yeah, I know, you're kind of right about that. The value you draw also depends on the board and your breakers. Yeah, Cat, totally. That's exactly why this, I think, is so important. Value you draw is incredibly dependent on this and this. If you don't have your breakers, you need your breakers. If we have our breakers and we have solid economy, there's a big chance that VRcation is not worth playing and Click for Credit is worth playing. And based on what I've previously said, we don't need to demark VRcation based off of the value drawing, but in theory on those board states, Click for Credit should just have a higher value, which doesn't seem right. Like, you strictly don't need a decoder or killer. Yeah. Well, you don't strictly need it, but it's definitely the value of draw changes once as you have all your breakers. That's for sure. The value of each action is relative. Yeah, it's definitely relevant, but that's the thing is I just want to pick the best thing every turn, not the best thing, like the best thing in general or best thing infinitely, definitely not the best thing compared to all other things. I think you end up there, but I don't think everything needs to talk to everything, if you know what I mean. I think it's possible, probably not possible with Netrunner too many options. Do you agree? To simulate Netrunner in Fusion? I'm not sure what the question is exactly, but no, I definitely think you can make a smart AI that plays Netrunner to a very high caliber. There's not that many options. Like, compared to something like potentially, let's just talk about, everyone rags on Magic the Gathering, but like something like Magic the Gathering on turn one, like the amount of plays you have is sometimes one play, sometimes no plays, right? Like, do you play your mana? Do you play your one drop? Sure, fine. And Netrunner is a bit bigger, but like on turn one, we only have these many options. I'm not considering the tag and the Click for Credit stuff, but I don't think it's that hard for our AI to figure out what the best option is on turn one. How's it going? Yeah, we've been playing on Chiriboga. We're trying to see how easy it is to abstract a Netrunner AI, and I think we need to start writing, because otherwise I'm going to scare myself away from this. You also don't need a fractor until there's a barrier rest. Yes, this value, half fractor, needs to, sorry, half fractor, and it should be half fractor and need fractor, right? Like, these are two question marks, because the value of half fractor increases heavily when need fractor increases, right? Well, not the value of, it definitely is a different conversation. We can make something to simulate. No, you can definitely simulate Netrunner. You can definitely. Maybe it would be more fun, informative if you made this rough framework and then played with the framework yourself against a real player. I think that's what we want to get to, Macaroni. The problem is we have to make the framework. And not that I want to play against a real player yet, Macaroni, but once we make this framework and have an understanding, like maybe I'll take some time to spin this up in something simple, is that we can actually play against Chiriboga and then input the board state into our machine and then see if we, following these rules, can win, and let alone maybe eventually can win against a person or on JNet, right? Like, it doesn't matter where we play. The value of breakers goes up as the number of ice on the board goes up. That too, in general? Yes. In general, yes. That's actually interesting. Yeah, number of ice matters. Huh. Doing this for standard would be comical. ID equals CPM, killer value equals 0. Oh yeah, then the tribunal hits you. But yeah, no, you're totally right. Like, that's the problem, is as soon as you get to standard, like making meta decisions, being like, okay, respect Hardy News. This could be 1 out of 15 assets and upgrades, or Bologna. Do you steal Bologna? Maybe we don't start with VRcation. Fantastic. Let's not start with VRcation. Evening all, trying to figure out what I walk in on Nero. We're trying to make a very naive AI that will play Netrunner. So far, definitely a possibility. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, so we have to make some assumptions here, and I think we talked about this a bit. Let's start with Sure Gamble. Yeah, I actually want to start with these, because I think Run R&D, Run HQ are actually quite interesting. Evaluating draws, I think, is actually quite difficult. But let's start here. Because I think the one thing that we're saying is, and this is important because I think this is going to sneak into what we're talking about, is we are not talking about the value of doing something. Oh, sorry. When we're talking about the value of doing something, we are not talking about it in context of the opportunity cost of not doing something else. Right? Right? Like, when I'm saying what is the value of running R&D, I just want to evaluate that on the value of running R&D. But not the value of running R&D instead of running HQ, instead of drawing, instead of running X server, right? Like, I think we need to be very clear about this, because the way that we've painted this system is that it's going to give everything its own value, regardless of any other options. Like, if run R&D was the only option, like, this number wouldn't be 100 potentially. Like, that's not the point. But the idea is that once it crunches all the possibilities, it will pick the best possibility within a range of some sort of variance, right? So when we're talking about what is the value of running R&D on turn 1, click 1, we are not talking about what is the opportunity cost of running R&D compared to everything else. The opportunity cost in theory should be baked into this. Again, there's some naivety to this, but I just want to start there because it stops us from having to do why run R&D when you can run HQ. Like, that's not the point. Cool? We're on the same page on this? Let's talk about running R&D. Okay. Oh no, this is also very difficult because of ice. Yeah, let's start. There's no ice. Let's start. Is one ice. Okay, we're not gonna talk about more ice because as soon as there's more ice and resed ice, we're gonna talk about unresed ice. Excuse me. Run R&D, profit equals 1 axis, possible trash and maybe valued cash for trash, cost equals ice. How many cards in R&D? Turn 1. 30, 40, 30 cards, 29 cards, 28 cards, 28 cards. Value of R&D can be set number minus the number of unknown ice and credits it costs. Well, okay, so we're saying, we're gonna comment this in. R&D has no ice. Okay, this is a good part to understand. What is the expected value of an axis? So we need to find the EV of a single axis. Okay, this is something that on its own could generate, years of debate. But what is the expected value? Where are we? The expected value of running R&D here if this wasn't iced. So they have 28 cards right now. We're going to make this II specifically for these 2 decks. So they have 7 agendas in their deck. Okay. Now the agendas are weighted differently, a 1-point, 2-pointer, 3-pointer. It averages all out to 2 points. For this turn 1, it doesn't matter. But basically there's 7 cards within 34. So technically, you have a 1 in 5 chance on any axis, very naively, for it to be an agenda. Okay? Okay, right? So about what's your 1 in 5 chance of agenda? Plus minus cards in game, agendas scored, stolen. Okay. And then there is some additional value when it comes to seeing things and having information, but this thing is going to have, there's no way that we're going to keep stored information. There's no way we're going to have stored information. This is unbearably difficult. Stored information, question mark. Like it has some value of understanding what you're accessing because you can get some information from it. We are going to know the deck list, but that's not something we're going to specifically track, perhaps. But also there are trashables. This is a common question that shows up a lot. It's a very difficult question on a lot of boards. It's getting complex fast. It is ridiculous how quickly complex this is getting, right? Like, I think we just need to be like very, very, if we want to get something done, we need to be incredibly naive and build something very simple and probably tune it. How did you ever learn to play Netrunner? How did any of us? It's ridiculous, isn't it? Wouldn't the X's R&D be the best option as it helps us win, get closer to winning? No, Infusion. Actually, I think it's quite the opposite. On turn 1, I'd almost always rather run HQ if it's a possibility. It's not gonna get every card and how it's used. Yeah, it's probably not gonna understand everything. So if anything, like if it acts as a card, it should remember the card if it is like a type of ice, because then that no, because then it has to understand like time. Like it has to understand like you drew this on day 1 and then they installed it on day 3, so it has a chance to be the ice seen on day 1. And then every ice installed has to have a probability of what it could be, right? Like this card was installed after the time that they didn't install any other ice, and we saw this card. So this card has a higher chance of being this card. And then having an understanding of like, this is an ice that is bad to install here. Like generally certain ices installed in certain places. This is not your wheelhouse, buddy. Are you talking to me? Oh, that's insulting. I think we can do this. I feel like the value of each action needs to be some multiple of how much money does this make times how many cards will it get me times how many points does it get me. Yeah, but it's interesting, right? Like if you do everything based off of, well, I don't think that's possible, right? If each action needs to be some multiple of how much money does this make, how many cards will it get me, how many points does it get me? Like it's very hard to use that framework to understand like why you would install Docklands Pass or DZMZ Optimizer, right? Like it kind of falls apart. How about just a simple strat? We don't have to make it good. We just have to make it play. Yeah, for sure. I think that's where we need to start. Yeah, you count on agenda rips and ignore value in cards for R&D. Yeah, I think we do have to ignore I think we're going to ignore all this for sure. And I think we're just going to consider like running HQ honestly is easier to calculate to some extent. Because like accessing R&D makes you no money, but it could get you points. Yes, it doesn't always make you money. Oh, but sometimes runs make you money. How about this AI just tries to get the best access per cost value every click? Yeah, access per cost value. So the thing with that, Thanos, is like, I think if you do that, you're going to run into some of the weirdness that you do see on the Chiriboga bot. Not exactly the same weirdness, but similar weirdness, right? So the idea is if we can run archives to get red team and like a leech counter, but the scoreable, like the double advanced agenda is in the remote server behind like a palisade and a brand, like we'll just never run that. I guess in theory, unless we calculate like a double advanced card has a huge probability of being an agenda, but like, oh my God. Advancing board state, then making money cards. Yeah, okay. Fuck. I swear I've thought about this for a fair bit, and I thought this would be a bit more approachable. I guess it could be a cop-out, maybe oversimplification, but you could focus on building up the first turn into like a book by opening moves in chess. Ooh, we can do like the French Open. We can code the French Open, whatever the French Open is. I think the French Open is Ice Ice Hedge Fund. In chess, is there something called a French Open? Turn 1 install conduit gets you good average access per click in theory, but then it's never able to use it. Yeah, like turn 1 install conduit's a really bad play. Like that's the thing. It gets you good accesses soon. Again, conduit we don't have to care about because it's not within these cards, but you know what I mean, right? Like, yeah, maybe we just want to have for a couple turns we establish board state and force the corp to res, right? Like maybe but this is the thing, is like now we're coming to a state machine, right? Like that's exactly what we're describing. We're describing like an opposite way of dealing with this, where it's like we have different states. Like first we are in build up state, then we are like in attack state, and then we're, you know, somewhere after that. If not, you can make one, the Quebec Open. So like there are two kinds of actions that can score you points and actions that advance your board state. Yes, chessbook moves is maybe the way to go. Because now I think we have a state machine. I think we are building a state machine now, which I'm less confident about. Value of draw. Okay. Overwhelming. We can do this. The value of draw. So we wanted to have it, so let's just start making really nice stuff. Draw value. If you have no cards in hand, drawing should be immensely important, okay? If you have a lot of cards in hand, drawing should be relevant based off of what you don't have in play, right? So we have a couple like catches for that, like have breaker, need breaker of different types. That's important. Have economy, need economy. Those are the other things that we should be addressing, right? So the value of draw, let's say at any point in time that draw is an okay thing to do. Say it's a 40, okay? And we can increase this number by 10. Like this is how simple we're going to make it. We're going to make it a bit naive because I'm overwhelming myself thinking about things. We're going to give this value plus 10 for every card we don't have under hand size. So hand size is HS. How do you notation this? Plus 10 for a card missing from hand. Okay. Okay, so let's go on top of that. Like, let's just make some abstract variables and see how close we can get. Doing something that's very unscientific, but like has a basic understanding of how Netrunner works. Okay, so the average value is a 40, which isn't particularly amazing. But if we have no cards in hand, it'll be a 90. So that seems good. You're always gonna be drawing if you have no cards in hand. That's usually true, but not always true. We could like tune this to make it an 8 so that the numbers line up. So if we have no cards in hand, it's at 80, which there are some things that are more important than that. Plus, if we don't have certain things, like if we don't have a needed breaker, we just give it like a flat bonus, like flat 15. Okay. Compression core beacon be considered decision? Yeah, definitely. I think the run decisions would care about money. I think this is where we need to start. We need to do something as simple and silly as this. And I think that there's a chance we'll build something that can beat the Chiriboga AI, right? So this is it. This is our entire model. Cards missing from hand gives you +8. If we don't have a needed breaker, and needed is an important thing because we're going to be tracking have breaker, need breaker, we give +15. Okay? So let's just talk about this. Say we have 3 cards in hand, so the value is 40 plus 24, and we need a fractor, but we don't have a fractor because they have a palisade on their remote. We are whatever this is equal to. So great, now I have to do math. It's about 80, right? It's like 79. That's pretty good. That's pretty high, right? The value of a draw there is actually quite good. Yeah, that's what I want. I want to start with this. I think we can manage it if we keep things like this. This is a good enough model of the value of draw. At any point in time in the game, we don't have a needed breaker plus 15. And if we're broke, maybe we should value this, but we'll keep it very simple, okay? So this is a model. This is why we wanted to do it. Okay, let's talk about click for credit. Clicking for credit is not a very good thing to do. I think it's inherently worse than draw most of the time, just because your deck has draw in it. So let's start with 25. And what variables could we just abstractly attach to click for a credit? Firstly, if econ is bad, below 3 credits. If you're below 3 credits, you're generally clicking for credits, right? Yeah. Plus, I don't know. Yeah, amount of credits in the pool should matter, but there has to be, like, I think at this point there's a clever person function here. Click for credit, base X, need credit for econ cards, have no ability that makes credits. Yeah, Tan, the thing is, like, as soon as we jump into that, which I would 100% agree that we have to do, it gets very tricky, right? Like, I think there has to be a catch here. Like, click for credits 25 plus, or I'm going to say minus, card on board that makes money. Obviously, that's tricky. We have to figure out what that is, but like, we should not, in any circumstance, be clicking for credits if we can, I guess we should put this in brackets. In any circumstance that we should be clicking for credits when we have a card on the board that makes more money, right? Like, we don't have to worry about economic warfare. Does someone have a link to the runner starter deck? Yeah, you can find them on Nisei. I'll just link them in here, but they're the only 4 decks that Nisei has ever posted here on NetRunDB. Here, let me just get them in. Playing exclusively Adam, probably. Excuse me. What if already is an AI out there playing on Jinteki? We had no idea. Yeah, it's a lot of the Atoms and some of the Apexes, but luckily they made Apex bad so that we wouldn't have to worry about it. Okay, so 25 minus 50. If a card on board that makes money, that's good. So it'll very disincentivize this. Card on board or hand. Okay. Plus, like, we just need to get the values here and we have to tune them. Plus, this should be increased for how little money we have. So for every credit under 5, and I think 5 is a big break point because sure gamble. You have credit commission, but sure gamble. So for every credit underneath 5, you times, well, technically it's the inverse. But we know what I mean, right? Like, we're not going to multiply. If we're 5 credits under 5, then this should be plus, I don't know, like 15? What's 5 times 15? 75? That means we're 100% clicking for cards, so we have 0. That seems a bit strong. 12. Okay. All right, this is our model. Plus. I guess this will look cleaner if we do this. Yeah, this actually looks clean, and we have no need for brackets. Okay, so say minus 100 for every econ event you can afford. Yeah, maybe. We don't need for each. Like, oh, actually, yeah, this should just be a big number. This should be like a massive number. There's no reason why this number shouldn't be huge. I think in this kind of situation, you make clicking economy cards get a big bonus rather than if you have them. I'm not sure what you mean. If we're on 0 and there are no other cards that give us money, it should be pretty high. Yeah, and I think we have that, right? Like, say that we have no credits. Say we have 1 credit. And no econ cards, then the value of doing this should be 25 plus 4 times 12 is 48 equals, what is that, 73? That seems a bit low. I was running a clearinghouse Jinteki kill deck and I got wrecked by Apex today. Yo, kill decks, they do that. So if we add this to 13, this only goes up to 77. So maybe 15 is actually good, which means this goes up by 8. Did I do the math wrong? 85? Is this right? Is this the general script or one that's to work with a specific deck? Solomir, this is meant to be just very specific for the system, the startup decks. Specifically these startup decks, so that we don't have to worry about like instant speed or anything. I have no doubt you could take this and eventually like blow it up to a bigger card pool, but it gets very difficult very quickly. I think that's a really cool thing about these cards, that they're simple. Yeah. Wait, rather than minus to clicking for credits if you have them. I think this kind of situation, you make clicking economy cards get a big bonus. Well, that's the sort of thing that I think we need to avoid to some extent. And I think we're failing to do it here, or maybe it's impossible to do it. And that's what we've learned here, is that we want to make it so that the opportunity cost of playing something isn't considered when evaluating that action itself. Now, this is, I think, one of the big things where the opportunity cost of this is like incredibly silly if you can do something else. So I think we have to break that rule inherently. You'd also want to factor in the cheapest card in your hand. Hey, Kai, how's it going? Yeah, there's like a bunch of things that you, I think, would want to factor in. Like you want to factor in the cheapest card in your hand, but only if that card is an economy card. You want to also factor in like how badly you need money on this board state. But I think for now, so we don't get overwhelmed, I think we're going to ignore most of that and just use the click for credit as a basis of, do you need money and do you have no other way to make money? Consider clicking for credits, right? And this means that this value, like this maybe is a problem, is that this value will almost never, and this is something we're going to realize very quickly, and I'm glad that we realized it now, is that this means, interesting. There's a chance that the base number is not low enough, right? Because say that we have like, 9 credits, right? If we have 9 credits, like the value of this is just going to be 25. So say on one of those turns where you just do like, install credit, and maybe this matters more for a corp, you would almost never credit because I feel like drawing a card will just be better than 25 always. So there's a chance that this base number is just needs to be higher generally. That's what my guess is, because I feel like this AI would probably never click for credit if it's over 3-4 credits, if it doesn't have to. Maybe that's correct, but we'll see it out. Want a specific card to look for instead? Want a specific cards to look for instead of economy cards? I think we eventually will. I just think we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it like pseudo codey for now. But yeah, it should be like if you have this or this or this or this or this. Not if we have a card that gives us money. I would rank higher instead of -1,000. If we have a card that gives us money, it would just rank higher instead of -1,000. Yeah, I think you're right. There's no need for this, because we're assuming the card that has money should be more than 25. Yeah, you're totally right. So that sticks to our basic tenet that the EV of every action is not considering the opportunity cost of another action. Okay, fantastic. I assume these numbers are for runner. Yeah, this is for runner, because corp gets a bit more interesting. But if cost of running the remote is 10 credits, the AI might not prioritize clicking for credits if under the threshold of threatening a server. Solomir, I totally agree. I think that is an issue. And I think what happens is that like, yeah, I think there's no way around it, is that we're going to have to consider the, like, I think the only server that we're going to really care about having enough money to do is the remote server. And I feel like in a very naive way, we're just going to have to make that sort of sacrifice, or that sort of like assumption, because if you can't get into the remote server, you will lose the game, guaranteed. If you can't get into central servers, you won't lose the game. The game might be longer and you might put yourself in situations where losing the game is more probable. But like, I feel like having the threshold of money needed to get into the remote server is, if it's a known quantity, you need to make sure you have that money at most periods of time. So that's definitely worth knowing. So for every credit under, I'm going to just call it remote need, times, I don't know, 3, because I feel like this number could get pretty big. We'll have to figure out what remote need is. Should the variable of total cost to break remote a variable that needs to be tracked at all times? It will. Yeah, it has to, and it will. And it also, to some extent, I don't know how much we're going to do this, but it might also have to guess what it is, right? Like it might have to guess what the remote need is based off of now I do feel like we need the negative, but based off of unresed ice, it'd be like, we think on average it costs every ice, because we can make some very big assumptions that we could just say like, on average, with the breaker suite known in this deck, what is the average cost to break the average cost of ice in our opponent's deck? And it basically skews almost entirely because of brand, but then you can make some very generalist calculations saying that like the remote server has 2 unresed ice on it. So on average, we need whatever the number is, like 4.5 credits per ice to get through. So we can make some guesses. You could in theory tune it to be like, okay, well, we've seen the 3 palisade res, so that means we know it's not a palisade, so that, changes the math, but I don't think we need to go that hard. Yeah, I think that's worth knowing. And maybe we do still need the negative thing, because I'm worried this number is going to get really high, but we just need to figure out a way to make the play economy card higher than this if it can. And that's probably, the play economy card will probably have every single number here the same, but the base strength is going to be much higher. 4.5 credits price sounds fine. It's probably a bad ballpark, but I think we could like easily crunch it. Like it's not very difficult to crunch it. You shouldn't need the negative because all your economy cards will include calculation. Exactly, Catherine. Yeah, I was just saying that. You're totally right. Like basically the play economy card is going to be the exact same text as this, but a much better base number. Creative commission, it'll be fine. All right, draw and click for credits. I think we have models that aren't ass, which is good enough, right? So running is actually going to be a bit tricky. We haven't totally agreed on how that works. So let's start with playing cards. Brown has a click break too. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I hit the microphone. We're not going to worry about that, right? Right. We will. The Chiriboga AI is super aggressive about using that. It uses it in ways that are a bit avant-garde, which is kind of cool. Okay, so let's look at our hand, right? Okay, so we can take the value of certain cards. Like when it comes to play X card, like I think we're just gonna have to make different models based off of each individual card. And that's actually a really good thing about using this space because there's not that many cards, like unique cards. What are we at? This is the one, right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's only 16 cards that we'd have to like hard code. And a bunch of them are icebreakers. They work the same. That's fine. Sure Gamble is pretty easy. So I think we actually just start playing cards. So play Sure Gamble. So the value of Sure Gamble. The value of Sure Gamble falls off pretty heavily when you're over certain thresholds, right? Like it's kind of the opposite of Click for Credit. Click for Credit gets a huge boost when you're underneath 5, and Sure Gamble will get a boost when you're underneath, like when you're just on 5 and over, because anything you do that pushes you under will goof you up. But the problem with Sure Gamble is like Sure Gamble is a bad card to play when you're on 30 credits. So how do we add that into the model? Let's say the base cost of playing Sure Gamble is just almost always good. Over the remote threshold, you want to generally be over the remote threshold comfortably. Like you'd like to be able to run the remote 2 turns in a row. So yeah, the remote threshold might be a nice way to consider it. But I think we just need to have some sort of variable in this that decreases the value of Sure Gamble once you hit some number. We could just say the number's like 30. Like you generally don't have 30 credits in these games. So maybe we can just like hard code something. Okay, so say Sure Gamble is just 60 because Sure Gamble slaps. Yeah, remote need times 3. Yeah, I think that's fair. I feel like I'm learning more than the AI. That's why I wanted to do this too, because it's like a really very interesting thing to understand how to deconstruct Netrunner and how different people think about it. It gets a negative after like 17 credits. I think 17 might be a bit low, but I think we're on the same page about how that works. Okay, so plus. I feel like there's the Sure Gamble sweet spot. Let's code in the Sure Gamble sweet spot where you hit 5, you want to play Sure Gamble because that's how it works. Like Sure Gamble is in theory one of the best things to play in your opening hand most of the time. So I want to get some sort of variable that gets you like every credit plus something, decreasing every credit over 5. I think that's a good way of doing it. Like say that there's going to be a flat bonus to Sure Gamble, plus 30, like 90 seems high, but then it decreases. Oh yeah, because so I think we want a base rate of how good Sure Gamble is, and then this additional either addition of some amount or addition of nothing based off of how much money we have. So right, so say that we're giving this plus 30, F it, plus 35, minus whatever our difference is above 5. So for every credit we are over 5, we subtract something from it. So when we're at 5, we should subtract 0. You know what I mean? I'm really bad at like formalizing functions like this, because what's the function look like? Basically, if we're at 5 credits, we want to add 35, but we want to decrease from that number the higher we are away from 5. You know what I mean? Player credit is going to be a variable that goes up and down over the course of a game. So Gamble needs priority until the player credit value is over a value. Yes. Yeah. I think that's what we're saying. Aniko is trying to get into a box. Okay, so it's 35 minus. It's like difference over 5 times, and this should be some small number. Again, this is the sort of thing you tweak from basic testing, but difference over 5 times points. I have no idea what this should look like how small this number should be. Because when you're on 7 credits, playing Sure Gamble is still quite good. So at what point would we say playing? I think this is how we just. At what point should we? I crunch the numbers. Wait, on average, ice is 3.615 credits. Sick. Palisade. Okay, Thanos, you're gonna get goofed up by Leech, but we all are gonna, huh? Oh, there's no Leech. Never mind. We're fine. 3.6. Okay, that's super cool. Thank you. Minus 2.5 per credit. Could that just be 35 minus player credits? I think almost Schmendrix. I think that's actually a really elegant way of thinking about it, but I think it's not exactly, because if you're on 30 credits, you almost never place your gamble. It's usually it's a bad click. Counter Unity by itself. Oh, yeah, that's fair. I think you need to make that assumption. So difference over 5 times. Okay, so if we wanted to add nothing, I think if we were at 24 credits, let's just say 25 credits, we wouldn't place your gamble. So what 35 divided by 24? We said 25. Let's keep it even. Is 1.4. Okay, so times 1.4. Okay, so the idea is, as a basic test, is say that we have 12 credits. And there should be some value here based off, we'll get to it, value based off of, what's it called? Remote need. So say we have 12 credits, so the value should be 60 plus 35 minus 5 times 1.4, which is what, 8? 8? 7. So that would be 60 plus 35 minus 7. I'm not that good at mental math. So that's 95 minus 7 is 88. That seems a bit high, but it's not awful. That's not terrible, right? But say that we're at like 20 credits, which is, you know, at that point I would not consider playing Sure Gamble. Or like it would not be the first thing I do on the turn, but it wouldn't be a bad thing. So then we do minus... Wait, why is it 5? Oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. Difference over 5. This not should be 5. Our difference over 5 is 7. Yeah, we did this wrong. Yeah, it should be 7 times 1. Yeah, totally. Brittany, you're totally right. 1.4. So that's 9.8. So that's 9.8. So I'm just gonna spare myself the embarrassment. 85.2. Okay, not a big difference, but that tracks. And so for 20 credits, then we are 15 over. So it's 15 times 1.4. So that's 21. 35 minus 21 plus 60 equals 95 minus 21 is 74. That still seems a bit high. I think we just need to change this number. Let's just increase it by 1. So that would decrease this by 7, and it would decrease this by 15. I think that's closer. So 74 minus 15 is 75 minus 15 minus 1. So 59. And this is, I think, need for credits, about remote need should have some addition to it. And so this would be, sorry, we said that would increase it by 7, or decrease it by 7. So 78. Yeah. That seems fair. For 12 credits, maybe actually that's a bit low. Maybe you have to make this some sort of logarithmic thing. That's beyond the scope of the mathematics I understand. Okay, so value based off of remote need plus, oh man, I feel like we could do this. I feel like we could make a robot. Okay, so remote need would be, what do we do for click for credit? Don't have need to break up plus 15. Okay, every credit under remote need. Every credit under remote need. Just times 3. Just so that we're on the same page. That should probably do it, right? So let's see what that means. In theory, if we have 20 credits, remote costs. Oh no, that's crazy because remote would probably not cost 20. Under remote need. Oh no, it shouldn't exactly be under remote need. It should be like under remote need times 2. Right? So technically times 6. Oh, no, okay. Every credit under remote need means that you can't get into the remote. But I would say you want to be able to get to the remote 1.5 times, right? Just so that you have the chance of getting through it the next turn. So that should be something in brackets, right? Every credit under remote need times 1.5. I guess by is this work out just about the same? Remote ice equals 3.615. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna code remote need in here based off of the numbers that Thanos Because in theory, we'll have to actually know the remote need at any board state. That would be the remote need if all ice were face down, which I feel like we could probably calculate a remote need accurately. F it. Yeah, let's just make remote need be defined like that. Whatever. Remote need equals num ice times 3.615 plus minus unity. Okay, so every credit underneath the remote need. No, shit. Every credit under remote need times 1.5. This is the part that's times 1.5. Times 3. And we need to change this up here too. Okay. Because we want to be always able to have the ability to run the remote server just about twice, right? And then it's weighted by 3. So let's say that the remote there is, okay, let's just calculate this. We have 8 credits, a sure gamble, and there is 2 ice on the remote. Okay, so what is the value of playing sure gamble? So the hands, that would be 60 for base stat, 35 minus, we are 3/5, so 3 times 2.4 in brackets, of course, plus what is the 2 ice on the remote is the remote. Oh, man, this numbers, I'm gonna put the 3.5 just so that it's reasonable. Our remote need is 7, so 7 times 1.5 is what, like 11ish. I'm gonna just say 11ish. So we're 11ish, so we are 3 credits underneath 11ish. So that's 3 times 3. I feel like this is probably not weighted enough. It is weighted just about as much as this. Yeah, I feel like this could be a heavier weight. Current credits minus remote cost times 1.5. That is a way better way of writing it. Yeah. Current credits minus remote cost times 1.5. So 6 credits. Wait. Yeah, that's right? Like if we have 6 credits minus remote cost would be 8 times 1.5. Doesn't this get to like negative absolute values or something wild? Like it doesn't get negative values. If our current credits are 8 and the remote cost times 1.5 is 11, 8 minus 11 is minus 3. We hit a negative number. This should be the other way, right? Well, no, we should just math apps. I don't think it's perfect, right? Because this under cared about the absolute value, but I think it's largely the same. Anyway, 60 plus 35 minus 3 times 2.4 plus 3.3. Okay. 60 plus 35 plus 9. Okay, apparently you're always playing sure gamble. Oh no, minus 3.2.4. What's 3 times 2.4? You're apparently this is like the best thing ever to do, and honestly that's not the worst. I feel like playing sure gamble when you're on 8 credits with 2 ice on the remote might actually be okay. What does this, what the DOS is this? Anthony, we're trying to make a pretty naive AI that can play some Netrunner within the very basic system gateway universe, and we're getting there. Remote cost only matters if we have the breakers though, right? Otherwise factoring it inflates the value. You're right, it inflates the value. Not entirely, because certain things like white space do care about money, but I don't think it's too off. Like no matter what, even if you, I think, okay, so this is, I think, what we're falling back into, right? Like, is we don't want to calculate the cost of this based off of the opportunity cost of not drawing breakers if we don't have breakers. You know what I mean? Like there's still a value of having money, but if we have good money, the value of drawing into our breakers should just be higher, right? Like if we don't have the breakers, the value of just drawing breakers should just be higher than this, if that is the problem. You know what I mean? Like you always want to have a modicum of credits, but like still playing a sure gamble on 8 credits is generally an okay click, even if you're spending your next 3 drawing for breakers. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like the idea that we don't have our breakers while we have economy might not be terrible if we, as long as we have the value of drawing breakers be higher. I'd play sure gamble that position. Yeah, I would too. I for sure would. I'm also not very good when it comes to plotting things, but I think the easiest way for us to see how broken this is just to plot a graph, like just to actually plot the function and see what things look like, because it's very hard for us. Like we'd have to plug in so many variables here to be like, okay, that sounds right. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Until we get to a point where we think like we are comfortable with this, but like very naively, this seems fine. Like this seems okay. You know what I mean? Wildcat Strike. Wildcat Strike isn't in it. There's no Wildcat Strike here. Don't scare me. You're gonna scare me. There's 15 more cards to go. Come on. This is the same as Creative Commission, right? Like Creative Commission, it's the exact same thing. Barring maybe don't do a last click. I'm doing this. We're gonna have a robot that plays Creative Commission. So if you're, I don't have, it's 2 M's, 2 S's. Nailed it. Creative Commission is basically sure gamble. Difference over 5. Difference over 1. This seems sillier now, but that's basically just how much money you have variable, so that's fine. Okay, we can get rid of this comment, and then, excuse me, the same, but then just minus some value based off of if you have clicks left. And I don't think we have to be too precious about this. Like, oh, we do. We like straight up do. Because I feel like this is one of the cards that will totally just eat the AI. Where the AI is like, okay, I'm going to run that. Like we see the board and we say like, oh, the AI has to run the remote on turn click 4. Like it has to, or it's going to lose. And then it says, okay, click 3, Creative Commission, here we go. Because the punishment for Creative Commission spending 2 clicks did not consider that it needed to click left. So I think what we're going to do is just say minus $1 billion if click 3. And we just never play Creative Commission on click 3, because as soon as we play Creative Commission on click 3, if we just ignore this opportunity, this possibility, it saves us a nightmare situation. So again, we just want to have something that can beat the Chiriboga AI. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I just think never play Creative Commission on click 3. Because there's no situation in the game where playing Creative Commission on click 3 is correct. Yeah, wait, that's just a basic Netrunner rule. Don't play Creative Commission on click 3. Right? We can all agree on this? You don't do that ever. There's no reason to do that. Good. I'm just going to call this common sense. Yeah, big minus for this one on non-last click. I don't think it's a big minus. It should be a considerable minus, but it's still better than clicking for credits. Yeah, I should probably either play first click or last click. Not sure what I want to do. I honestly don't mind, Catherine. I think third click, no. Second click, maybe. Because if right now, say the AI just needs money, playing Creative Commission click 2 is 2 clicks for 4 credits. That's much better than clicking for credit, right? Click 3, bad. Click 4, nailed it. That's almost certainly why they made the card say that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then we just want to minus some amount that will make this reasonable, that would make you consider playing it later on. And it just basically has to have a stronger multiple of money. If not last click minus, I don't know, it just has to like give some sort of minus that decreases based off of how much money you have. Right? Or sorry, I don't think I explained that right. But basically, if you don't have a lot of money, this shouldn't be a huge penalty. I left for like half an hour. This looks like it's gone almost entirely out of hand in the best way. It's actually going way better than it was half an hour ago, if I can say so myself. Extra, how's it going? Are we planning our turns? If so, Creative Click 3 will never happen anyways. Yeah, well, I don't think Essex, how's it going? We're not planning our turns. By no means. We're just trying to be like, at this point, this is the best move. At this point, this is the best move without any sort of like planning. We'll know what click we're on just for like cards like Creative Commission. And we want to know how many clicks we have. Fury might all check in again in a week. Andre has a big beard and is writing chalk over his walls. We're going straight to paint. We believe in ourselves. If not last click, minus just some VAT penalty. Minus 20. Minus 20. Times some sort of variable based off of how bad our economy is. Scheduling, how's it going? What about base value /2 when not last click? I think that's totally acceptable. Yeah, that's probably good enough. Because then it inherently is still better. Yeah, I like that. Because it's inherently still better than clicking for credit on 30. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's elegant. Because click for credit is 25. This will be better than clicking for credit. And it should be. 32. I was thinking almost exactly the same thing, yeah. You can see how this could spiral for real because it's super fun. It's super fun. We're getting there. We coded the 2 easiest cards. Like, come on, we're halfway there. All right. Overclock. No, we have to care about running, create a commission running. Okay, I think we're ready for VRcation. I think we're gonna. Okay, we'll start here. We'll do the VRcation. Have we set up a click to draw a card? Have we addressed the basic action card? Yeah, we have. We have a draw and we have a click for credit. And we're feeling pretty good about them, honestly. So we have click to draw, which has a value based off of, okay, we'll do this plus the way that we were used to doing it. Oh, shit, hold on. Plus if we had needed, okay, so this is fine. It's getting a bit uglier, but it's technically sound. And then we're here. Okay, VRcation. So VRcation should actually be like the creative commission to draw, right? Like it basically should just be draw. Oh, just. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's basically this on with the treatment that creative commission got. So base 40, we'll give it minus cut in half. The same thing. Some worse variable. Technically, I think drawing. I feel like drawing has to be better than clicking for a creative commission. There's just much more economy cards within a system gateway than their card draw cards. So I feel like the punishment of VRcation in click 1 is honestly not that bad. So I'm just gonna make it 30 at first click. VRcation click 1's fine. Plus 8 for every card missing from hand. If we don't have a needed breaker, plus 15. It should just also be like if we don't have a breaker plus, like, I think we should just normalize these values. So we'll just make this, yeah, maybe plus 15. I don't know, plus 12, and we'll just make this plus 7. Base VR should be higher than regular draw. Oh, yeah, you're totally right. We didn't change that. Yeah. Fine. Plus 8 missing from hand. If we don't have a needed breaker, plus 12. If we don't have a breaker, just in general, don't we have a breaker of each type? The mayfly counts. If you do have economy, don't care about that because that cares about actually, no, do we care about economy? I don't think so. Even first click, yeah. If it's, oh yeah, you're right. It should be higher than draw first click. You're totally right about that. It's not currently. I don't know if we care about discarding cards. I'm just not gonna. No one can make us. I think we need to update this up here because that's true. And then we have to give it the third click common sense clause. Oh, this is not a minus. Minus 1,000 if third click. Don't do this. Okay. Even first click is 1.5 cards per click. Yeah, it's better. It's strictly better than drawing. As long as, again, no, it's strictly better than drawing. If drawing is a thing that the game values at this point in time, it's strictly better than drawing. Because our AI model is not turn planning. So it's not going to be like, oh, we could spend a click 1 drawing, but then we need the rest of our turns to do stuff. It's not going to do that. And we're totally okay with that, right? Please say yes. So that's fine. When discarding cards, use these weights anyways. Yes, when we decide which card to discard, that would be a weighted thing. You're totally right. But like having overdrawing isn't something we consider. Overdrawing is only considered by not having the advantage of having too few cards. 1.4 cards per click isn't super impressive IMO because you could have used a click drawing a better card than VRcation. Yeah, Cap, but like this is startup, right? Like our system gateway, which I think it's fair. It's almost always right to VRcation system gateway. It's less likely to be played on a full hand than some other actions. Yeah, exactly. I think this addresses it pretty well. Okay. Sick. Sick, sick, sick. 4 cards down. I feel like we're gonna have to deal with the elephant in the room, which is running. No, we'll deal with Smartware Distributor. That's a fun card. Smartware is the 4th card to be programmed. Smartware Distributor, I think. Seems right. We would just discard the lowest weight cards, 100%. Also for overdrawing, you would just calculate the weight of your hand versus the average weight of this for that size hand. I don't think we need to do that, but that's interesting. If turn equals 1, play it. If turn is not 1, don't play it. No, you VRcation turn 2. It's fine. You VRcation turn 4 happily. Happily you VRcation turn 4. Okay, Smartware Distributor is a bit wild because it is a card we actually have to use. So this is play Smartware Distributor, not activate Smartware Distributor. Oh, this is a nightmare. I'm okay. I only think I'm turn planning. Oh, you'll get there one day. Don't worry. Oh, Smartware. Okay. Oh, I see what you mean, Thanos. Yeah. If turn 1 play, if turn 1 don't play. Yeah. If equals PD, don't play. Okay. Smartware Distributor. What are we assuming? This is an economy card, so it should care about our economy. It's also a card that has a value based off of the game length and how long it thinks the game is gonna be. I think telework is a much more manageable card, maybe to start. I forgot telework is a card. Yeah, telework is a much more reasonable card, okay? Play telework. Okay, so telework is going to be the same thing. It's going to have a base value that is going to be slightly less than Sure Gamble. It's going to be just slightly less than Sure Gamble. It's still pretty good. So let's just get it on paper what we want telework to do. It needs to be better than Sure Gamble. It has to have all this Sure Gamble boilerplate stuff. So cares how much money you have. Cares how much money for remote, bonus to use, minus $1 million if has been used, because we need to enforce the rules somehow. But like it's a card that you want to use. This is actually not true because there shouldn't be a bonus to use it. So playing telework is interesting because generally you want to get the money off your cards as soon as possible. And you see the Chiriboga AI doing not that. Like Chiriboga will pretty happily install telework and not click it on the same turn. And Chiriboga will happily install Smartware Distributor and not click on the same turn, which is not a good thing to do, right? Because for these cards, they have their expected value, their payoff is like strictly gated by how many turns are on the table and you're using them. So I feel like there needs to be a bonus to using telework every turn. Right? And playing telework, there should be a bonus if you have a click left. I think our AI should be smart enough to know that playing telework 4th click is like not a great idea, but not the worst idea. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is just play telework, not activate telework, right? The using action should be different, but I feel like you'll be more likely to play telework if you can use it. Right? Oh, I see, because I said use here. Yeah, so I wasn't clear. This is the play telework. So bonus if it can be used. And we don't need a minus if it can't be used, but we want a bonus if it can be used, right? Yeah, I made that confusing. Telework and Smartware should be considered 2 clicks for playing them. Yeah. Or it should be similar to VRcation, but VRcation has a minus. While I would play VRcation, I would play telework last click. I would play telework and not use it sooner than I would VRcation click 3. The way that doesn't spell anything, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Wait, did we actually we didn't give a minus? Oh yeah, 45 at first click. No, we did. Yeah. It should still be better to play it than to click for 1 credit though. Yes, but I think it generally should be. These numbers should always be just better, more generous than the numbers on click for credit. Oh man, we really need to plot these out as like as functions to see what they look like over time in different board states, because I think that would be the easiest way. I don't know what we have to do. Do we have to go to Wolfram Alpha and just like plug these in and be like, okay, show me what the graph looks like, and be like, oh wow, the bot never clicks for credits if it's at 18 credits specifically. So maybe playing and using can be the same. I don't think playing and using can be the same. Oh yeah, maybe they can. That's weird. I bet Nisei has already done so. I would, yeah, 100%. I'd bet money they have. Well, on their cards, not on this sort of nonsense. Okay, playing telework is technically not an economy action, but it gets you to an economy action, so we're going to give it the value of is as if it was an economy action. So maybe telework could just be a card. Yeah, play activate should be very similar. But it gets you into weird situations where like, okay, so hear me out. If we make telework play and activate the same sort of like object, you might find into situations where that you have 2 teleworks in hand and you need to get credits, but instead you played a telework and then you played your second telework. When in theory, the right play is intuitively play telework, use that telework, right? And I think that's the only thing I worry about. Man, because now there's this opportunity cost thing that we'd said that we would agree to dismiss. But in theory, like the value of playing Sure Gamble is what less. It's not as good if there's a telework on the table. I feel like that's something we're just going to have to ignore and be okay with it. And we're just going to have to hope that like the value of telework does look good, even if there's a Sure Gamble in hand. And like clicking telework should be better than playing Sure Gamble on almost every board state. Just because it is something you need to do every turn. And you can only do once per turn, so it wants you to do it, right? Cost is different when playing. Yeah, I think you're right. We do need to make play telework and use telework different, just so that we don't run into that weird situation of double telework nonsense. Okay, play telework plus 50. It's just generally a good card. That's what we come down to. Cares how much money you have. Okay, we should probably put all the econ cards together. Okay. Okay. Excuse me. If you're in a situation where the value of playing 1 telework is worthwhile, then playing 2 is the same, because then you can burst to 6. But not if you needed this turn, right? Like, what about if you want to run the remote server? Like, in theory, play telework, click telework is 2 clicks for 2 credits. And that's technically better than clicking for credits. And then last click is run the remote. I feel like those are the sort of things that our AI is just going to, like, struggle around. But, like, I still think we can win games. Do we just establish a general range of targets? It's a general range of targets is generally attached to the cost of activating the card, because you need the the opportunity cost of having the money up front. For telework, it's obviously very low, and the upper bounds is generally credits based off of remote needed money. Whoa, what about if we add to this the cost of playing our hand? But then the cost of playing our hand is only relevant if we need to play our hand. You know what I mean? Like, what about if we just inherently add to every economic card the value of not so much playing your hand, but the value of playing all your breakers? Right? Like, we can assume just about every deck in System Gateway needs to afford to play, let's just say very abstractly, like very naively, like you need to play 5 + 3 + 3. Right? Like, every deck, if they haven't installed the breakers, wants to install all the breakers. So there's a chance that we can have that in there, because the issue that this model is going to run into is that if there's no remote on turn 1, like the value of money is a bit strange. Right? Because if this is 0, we don't value money very much, and we don't need to spend money, but you want to have money. Could just tell it to try to have at least 5 credits, which is a fairly high probability, but I think you want more than 5 credits at all times. We already do have that sort of like get 5 credits difference. But I feel like we just need some sort of like baseline. Yeah, I think we do need baseline credits. What would that look like? Like, I think this is just another variable that we can very simply calculate based off of like, have you installed this breaker? You need 5. Have you installed this breaker? You need 3. Have you installed this breaker? You need 2. Do you think that's correct? Because it's 3, 3, 5. I'm not gonna count Mayfly because reasons. So we did this weird too, because it's the difference over. So that decreases the value based off of how much money you have. That's fine. This increases the value for money you don't have, which we could have done the opposite. Maybe adding to the weight based on remaining cost of breakers. Yeah, I think that's exactly what we need to do. Is that as long as well, it can't just be like, I don't think we can just add to the weight. Because if we have 30 credits, but we don't have our breakers, like we don't need more money. It's more so like, do you have enough to install all your breakers if you had them in hand? I feel like that's what we care about on top of remote need. So I think we actually can just add this in here, if I'm not mistaken, and we don't have to do much else. Every credit under remote need times 1.5. Like we probably should. I'm just going to say every credit under remote need times 1.5. We're just going to call that remote need from now on, okay? var remote need equals remote need equals yeah, num ice times 3.5. We have that down there. We'll just call that remote cost. And then remote need equals the credits we don't have under remote need. Are we installing before we need the breaker? No, we're trying not to as much as possible because we will die on that hill. Okay, so remote need is going to be the number ice times 3.5. Okay, so it's the difference between every credit under. How it's like you put a basic mathematical sentence in English and I understand intuitively how it is, but then you say like put that with a minus sign and I cannot figure it out if my life depended on it. Every credit under remote need times 9.5. Okay, so remote cost equals, so remote need equals remote cost times 1.5. That definitely has to be in there. Subtract the remaining install balance from current credits in the calc. This is exactly the sort of sentence that I'm going to take me 5 minutes to parse. Did we check the GitHubs? No, I did not check, and I don't want to check. I want to see how we can end up doing this and see how it stacks up. I'm very interested to know what they did, though. Okay, remote cost one, every credit under. So our credit total. We want the difference. Remote cost times 1.5. So say it costs 11 minus credit total. That is remote need. Okay. Now this could be a negative number, which means we have a minus remote need. That tracks. This is correct. This is 100% it. So we have 20 credits with no installed breakers. Subtract 8 from 20 and treat it as only having 12 credits. Oh, cool. That's interesting. Thanos, they did not use a learning AI. It's all hard-coded, they said. It's apparently a very simple, like, well, I don't know simple, because clearly nothing is simple, but it's not like a neural net or any sort of learning AI. It's a more straightforward approach than those options. Okay, so this is remote need. And then there's like deck need or breaker need, which is just the cost of breakers. It'd be the sum of each breaker type minus install cost, installed breaker of each type. Okay. Okay. So at least we have a language here. So remote need is remote cost times total credit 1. So then remote need will be negative if we have a lot of money, because 11 minus a huge number will be a negative number. Yeah, okay, this tracks. So this will be remote need times 3. Okay, this tracks. And then we need breaker need. I feel like we wrote something smart here and then we just wrote an English sentence. Breaker need. Installed breaker of each type, sum of each breaker type. Okay, breaker need times sum of each breaker type minus, so okay, so we're saying our deck needs 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 credits. That's our general breaker need minus installed breakers. So the more things we've installed, the less it's going to go down. So this is good. Plus times it could still be 3. So maybe we could just add these together. Yeah, maybe that tracks. The idea, Catherine, of like always just subtracting our breaker need from the credits, I think would probably work, but then it runs into issues with this like difference over 5 stuff, because we do care about breakpoints for some certain cards, and that might goof with it. So I'm a bit apprehensive of doing that. I think this is very like similar. It's not perfect. No, it's not. I don't think this is perfect, but I think it'll be close enough, right? Plus breaker need times 3. Yeah, that's actually not that far off. Okay. So obviously we'd have to add all this to all of that. So telework bonus if can be used. Okay. And then we need this remote need breaker need thing, which is here. Okay. Okay, plus 50. Cares how much money you have. Yeah. That's this. Okay, so we'll just copy the sure gamble. Yeah, we need a pseudo common sense thread. Okay, so it's telework is technically worse than sure gamble in the short. Plus 35 minus difference over 1. This might be a bit strong because that gets real low real fast. Telework is still worth playing a lot of times, even if you have big money. No, not exactly, but this number can be changed. Remote need times 3 plus breaker need times 3. And we'll have, let's just say, we'll give this again. We need to keep this simple. Plus 15 or whatever, plus 10, if not last click. Okay, so let's get a value here. It's so weird that like at any point in time, you could imagine a board state and think something like, you have a telework in hand. The value of playing telework is 87. Does that sound accurate? And I feel like, at least I know I do, I would be able to answer yes or no to that, which is weird because when I'm playing the game, I'm not, generating heuristics or having any sort of, like, I'm not doing that. But if someone said like the value of doing this is 40, I'd be like, oh, okay. RunnerAI.js is about 1,700 lines. Okay, well, we're catching up very quickly. We have a lot of white space, but we're at 123. We'll be there in like an hour. That's really cool. It's pretty interesting. Okay, so let's just do a quick calculation for this. Say that we have, okay, say we have 6 credits. They have 1 ice on remote. We have installed Carmen and click 2. Okay, so what's the value of telework? That'd be 50 plus 35 minus 1.4 times 5 plus remote need. What the hell did we say remote need was? Remote cost times 1.5 minus credit total. Okay, so this would actually be a negative number because apparently our remote need is not that high, which is interesting. Because remote need right now is 3.5 and we have 6. So the difference is 2.5 times 3, and it's negative 2.5 times 3. Installed Carmen. Oh, I hit insert. Installed Carmen would be, we said our entire breaker need is Unity, which is 3 plus 5 plus 3. So we've installed, our breaker need currently is only 6. And so we have 6 of 6. So breaker need is, oh man, sum of each breaker type minus installed sum of each breaker type. So breaker need is 0? Because we have enough money to install our breakers? I feel like this should have a multiple into it, the same as remote need. Yeah, I feel like this has some multiplier. Because right now it's just 0 because we have enough money. Yeah, maybe that's fine because maybe then, yeah, okay, whatever. And it's click 2. Okay, so plus 10. Sick. Okay, so this should be, I'm gonna do this here. So does this do brackets? I probably should just do everything on Wolfram Alpha. Plus 35 plus 10, so it's 98. 1.4 times 5 is a round number minus 7. Minus 2.5 times 3 is 7.5. 7.5. So 98 minus 7 minus 7.5. It's saying it's 83.5. And knowing nothing about nothing, that doesn't sound terrible. 6? Yes. Oh, yeah, for the breaker need, yes. Minus whatever, this is minus something, equals 83.5. That honestly sounds okay. I think you might be mixing up average credit cost versus whatever value you make decisions. Dennis, what do you mean? Average credit cost versus whatever value you make decisions. Have we? I don't think we have been. This honestly seems reasonable. Now, I think the easiest, I'm curious what Sure looks like at this exact board state now. Let's find out. Yeah, that's actually really interesting to see what it seems like in comparison. Sure is simpler. I'm just pasting this here so we can remember. Okay, so 6 credits. So that would be 60 plus 35, same stuff. Oh no, it's different. 35 minus, so we have 6 credits, so that'd be 2.4. Plus our remote need times 3. So that's minus, again, 2.4 is 7.5. Plus breaker need times 3 is 0. Okay. It's better. Which might be wrong. E5.1, slightly better. Actually, I don't feel terrible about that. Okay, so at this point, Sure Gamble's an 85.1. Telework is an 83.5. Click for credit. Yeah. We need to add the remote need in here, but it's probably not that far off. Oh no, it should be far off, I mean, but it doesn't seem unreasonable. Plus remote need, sorry, deck need. Nonsense. The breaker need. So that would be whatever. It would be 60.25. Every credit under 5 times 15, so no bonus. Every credit under remote need, which we're 6 remote need is that, so it actually is minus again. Man, if we have more than a remote, money is not that necessary. That's actually really interesting. Minus deck need. This seems bad. This does not seem correct. Whatever, that's basically 25 minus 10. 15.1, right? Just make the sure weight of the missing credits is factored in. Thanos, I'm not sure I understand. I don't know if I did the math entirely correctly, but like I think we can agree the value on these board states of Telework is 83.5 is fine. Sure Gamble is fine too, but this number is massively low. And I think this is much too low. And I think we were worried that this number was going to be higher than any of the other economic options, but I think this number should be a bit higher. Like being on 6 credits, clicking for credit is not the worst thing. Obviously, it's like it should be worse than the other 2 options. This is click for credit. This is Sure Gamble. This is Telework. But that is much too low, and that's definitely an issue. It's weird. Should the remote need value be floored at 0? No, I don't think so. Because the remote need value actually does matter, right? Like, say that we had 300 credits and we were like 3 billion over remote need. Like, admittedly, things are going to be a bit broken there because we're probably just going to draw through our deck because there'll be no situation where clicking for credit is good. But no, I think there's negative remote need. Basically, the idea is that if you're flush with credits, maybe you're right though, because maybe that violates the main rule that opportunity cost should not be calculated here. I just feel like it was necessary, and this is a problem because now we're talking about opportunity cost again, is that we shouldn't be clicking for credits if we have credits. If we have 300 credits, the other part takes care of that. Yeah, no, I think you're onto something there, that I think we are violating the basic tenets of not having opportunity cost calculated in. Yeah, you're right. Because everything else should just be better, right? But no, I'm not convinced everything else will be better. But maybe that's fine. I think we're gonna have to put a pin in it here, unfortunately. But I think we are getting somewhere. This is a bit disheartening, but I feel like some of our other models might be okay. I think we just need to plot some graphs to look at things what look like. I think this number is just way too not compelling for how good clicking for credit is on some board states. I'm worried that even if we have if we have 1 card in hand and no credits, like we might be drawing for cards. That's not entirely. Catherine just says, just ship it. We're coming for you, Chiriboga. I think we're getting somewhere though, which is actually pretty exciting. I think things are obviously massively overwhelming, and we've obviously only scratched the tip of the iceberg. We've talked about 4 cards, the simplest cards. We haven't talked about running, let alone, running seems important. But I feel like we're making some pretty good assumptions that we can actually end up getting somewhere. So I don't feel too embarrassed about this. I think we could do this if we spend more time on it. Speaking of more time, I mentioned this at the top of the stream. I'm going to mention it again before we call it a night, though. But we are going to be streaming on Sunday. Pat and I are going to be trying out a game that you might have heard of. It's kind of a new game. It's not even out yet. It's called World Breakers. So you can find it if you Google World Breakers. This is made by somebody who you might know if you've been playing Netrunner for a while. Elad Amir is the name that they played Netrunner back in the day. They won Like just build a Gravedigger Contaminate deck. They won the Canadian Nationals back in like 2014, 2015. They did a lot of posting on StimHack, wrote some articles that I very much remember reading when I was getting into the game. So, oh, Elwin, yeah, I'll peek at the deck. Sorry, I have the code open here. Yeah, I'll definitely peek at it before we sign off. Excuse me. And they basically reached out. They have a game that looks quite good. It's heavily inspired by Netrunner and other card games that you might know, and I'm actually very excited to try it out. So that's going to be here on Sunday. So hopefully we see you on Sunday. If you want to know when that is, it'll be 11 o'clock. If you hit the subscribe or follow button or whatever it is on the platform you're watching on, you'll know. Is that the Mulan card game? No, actually, this is Kuthlun, who is what's it called? A Mongol. She was a warrior princess. I don't know too much of the history, and this is a 13th century alternate history. So there's a lot of the base history in this game when it comes to like the Mongols or Marco Polo. I don't know anything about this sort of stuff, so I'm actually interested in learning a bit more. Cool. That's on Sunday. Okay, let's see if we can get this to see the deck list, because I'm not. Do I just do this? No, I don't think it's that easy. No, it's not that easy. I think I have to go and do a view deck and then go from there. Because there's two kinds of codes. One's longer than the other. One's a published code. Oh, did you publish it, Elwin? Because if you published it, we need the whole URL. Try posting the URL if you can, into chat, but don't just cut off the beginning part so it doesn't look like a URL. Like just post that, like netrunnerdb/whatever, and we'll get there. Because I think this is a published deck list. Because yeah, the unpublished ones are shorter. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd recommend posting the list if you can. Yeah, on the front page, it's wild. There's so many different formats going on. Oh, I found it. It was easy. It's right there. Yeah, I found it. Oh, and thank you. Got the link too. I'm playing a Chiriboga and wanting to build improvement on the basic runner deck. Oh, okay. So I see what you're trying to do here. So it's just meant to be improving on the basic. You can play this. Can you play this? I guess does it have these cards if you go into deck building? I don't think it does. I think it's just gateway, right? But want to build something better. So this is technically a standard legal deck. In terms of the things that have been added, we have Zaya, which she's fantastic. That's some good money. 3 tread lightly is probably a bit much, but the Chiriboga AI, I reckon, struggles with it a bit. So probably worth doing. Otherwise, some interest includes you generally don't see this many red teams in just about any deck. And it's not unique, but technically, the cost on it is unique, or the text on it's unique. It's probably quite good to get some early aggression, but it's a card you don't see generally that much in a deck, let alone 3 ofs. I wonder how good it is in your opening hand. Amakuva Mayfly, yeah, that tracks. There's a chance that you want to try and pair this up with Leech as well. Amakuva Leech is just a very good combination if you want to be very aggressive. Like very, very good. I don't know if you have the MU for all this stuff though. Like Sneak Door is 2 MU, Rizeki is, multiple MU, and then you want to install all your breakers. Like you're just not going to get there. So I wonder if you just need something else to get the MU up, because you only have 5 MU. So I feel like something's got to give here. It might just be a bit too much. But otherwise, it looks like a pretty standard, all the Crim stuff in there. It's hard to see what's not on the list, right? Just because the card pool is pretty small. Dawkins Pass is good. Man, it's at the point when you play Zaya whether you should have 2 Dawkins Pass or not. It's just so good. The second one's obviously like a totally useless card. Legwork's also like totally worth playing. You have the 2 Maker's Eye, which is good. Honestly, I would in some ways, and again, we just talked about MU being a problem, but like I might prefer Conduit. Just Conduit is so much pressure and gets good value with Zaya as well. But for you closing the game, Sneak Door Bet is good. It works with Dawkins Pass, but Maker's Eye and Jailbreak is still a fair bit of multi-access. The thing is, if you're going to play standard, I think you could play, there must be like wilder criminal cards you could put in this. This seems pretty tame. This seems good. I don't like Verbal. If I was playing the whole standard card pool, I would not play Verbal. I'd play Earthrise Hotel, Career Fair, and just start from there. Yeah. This card is it's not as good compared to some of the other options, but in the limited card pool, it's good enough for sure. Cool. Thanks for sharing. Anywho, that's it for us. We'll build the robot. I'm sure we will. I'm going to work on it. One day I'll have a robot and I'll just be playing JNet, and then my turns will be very suspiciously long while I'm typing into a console somewhere, and then I'll win every game, and you'll know why. Anyways, thanks so much for hanging out. We'll be back here on Sunday. Otherwise, then we'll be playing Netrunner in a week on Thursdays. You know how it is. hopefully you're enjoying your January. Thanks to everyone hanging out in chat, helping me with the variables and the understanding of the math. Catherine thinking. Yeah, hopefully you're doing well. Thanks to the AI we played a game against. A huge shout outs to Chiriboga and to Bob who put this together. Like, this slaps so hard. I think we were like amazed about it last week. It's still very amazing, but I probably am not as effusive as I was last week, where it was mind blowing. It is still the coolest thing ever, and I hope that's very, very clear. People play DreamNet to draw a card once per turn when they run, but they don't play Verbal Plasticity to draw a card once per turn when they draw. That feels like weird to me. Raketha, I think a lot of people play DreamNet in a deck that also gets the credit, but it's just click compression, right? Like, it's not the click to draw 2, it's the click to run and get a leech and get a penny shaver and draw a card, right? You generally draw more turns than you make a successful run. Well, the sort of decks that I think should be playing DreamNet, that's not the case. They would like to be aggressive and do all this stuff at the same time, right? Like, you could DreamNet and security testing and get a leech counter and get a desperado and, you know, like, it's a whole list of stuff. But yeah, it doesn't make sense in every deck. I think if people are putting DreamNet in decks that don't run often, it's not a good include unless they're digital consistently. Anywho, that's all. Ciao.